Welcome to the Talking Tradesman podcast. This is a space where people talk honestly about their lives, the highs, the lows, the pressure, and their mental health. No scripts, no filters, no pretending. Hosted by me, Russell Payne. Let's talk. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Talking Tradesman. I'm very excited to say in the studio with me today, I have Jacob Butchoff. Now, Jacob's story we're going to start at the beginning of, but as a quick recap for you listeners, it is an incredible story. It's a powerful one. You're not going to want to miss it, but we're going to cover a variety of subjects throughout Jacob's life. Jacob was adopted, has served some time in prison for a serious situation he was involved in. In fact, it's probably better to hand it over to you, Jacob. If you were to give me like a 30-second summary of the things we're going to discuss, what would you say?
Well, first, thank you for having me on. Credit to one of your guests, Will.
Will Castle. Big shout out to Will Castle. Yeah.
What a guy. So all credit to him and you. 30-second summary. Okay. Adopted as a baby to a great family, wealthy family in like northwest London suburb. Went to one of the best private schools in London. Was angry, upset, devastated with every part of life from the moment I could feel anything. Anytime I would open my mouth to speak, felt like crying, felt shame, didn't really know where it was coming from. Then at a certain age, I did know where it was coming from, which we'll go into. And then basically made a decision to hide what I knew about myself in the most extreme ways. So use violence to cover who I really was. Got kicked out of the school, joined gangs, got into gang violence, was stabbed multiple times, also did the same to other people, hurt a lot of people, was in and out of prison, kicked out of that school 16, 17, 18, then ended up in prison for 6 years, got a life sentence, and then came out, fell into addiction, went and tried to find my family, adopted birth family, went through all the trauma with that, and then 5-6 years ago kind of accepted who I really am inside and decided to try and find a pathway to help people through what I've been through and who I knew I was. Started mentoring kids in prison, which is the most incredible thing personally for me in terms of how it's enriched me. And softened like my soul and stuff. And then eventually we'll get into like owning who I am and my identity and as I said, like the truth of why everything happened. And now I'm basically giving talks and doing public speaking and using like Instagram platforms, social media and platforms like yours to like hopefully reach out to people dealing with identity problems or any kind of issues in their own lives, to be like, I'll put my hand up and say, all the shit I did, 99.9% of it was bollocks and fake, and it wasn't me, and I was trying to fit in or over fit in and ruined a lot of lives in my life and my family's life and other people's because of being scared to be myself, and hopefully inspire people to do the opposite and stand up and be brave and take control of their life and be happy and help.
Thank you, man. Like,
I think that was a bit longer than 30 seconds.
A little bit longer, mate, but you have got one hell of a story that covers a hell of a variety of situations, and we're going to get into all of it. We'll go back to the beginning, but to the listeners that have just listened to that little intro, that's what you've got in store. The reason I say that, Jacob, is we live in a society now where people have got a very small attention and tend to switch off, so I didn't want anyone to leave the story
I'm like that
prematurely.
as well, so I compete like that, so I get
Hang on in there. It's going to be a story. So, with that introduction, then, mate, I think let's go back to the very beginning and keep it chronological and talk about how you came to be in London, and we'll start there.
Okay, so all the information I'm going to give, it was scattered across my life in terms of information I got, so I'll try and piece it together as best I can. So I was adopted at 4 months old from Paraguay. in South America, which is the little country between Brazil and Argentina. So as a baby, my name was Carlos, and I was adopted by a 40-year-old white couple, Jewish people, great people, because I was told that my family had died, right? My birth parents.
Yeah.
So as far as I can remember, I just remember being Jacob and growing up in North London with these two amazing parents.
So your parents had gone over to Paraguay?
Yeah, they'd gone
adopted you there,
adopted me, and
brought you back to London?
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, one of the reasons that I know we mentioned Will Castle, who has introduced you to me, the reason that you know Will is you guys were at school together.
Yeah, exactly.
And Will obviously talked himself about his privileged background and that he went to a very good school. So
yeah, I found that incredibly difficult, knowing where I came from, like poverty, like shanty towns, it's called favelas, you know. But then again, if I wasn't told, would I have felt differently? Do you know what I mean?
Were you always told from a child?
I was my mum and dad who adopted me told me everything to the best of their capabilities, and what they probably thought I was ready to hear. They told me everything. Were very open. But I always question myself, like, did you use things as an excuse? You know, because if I wasn't told, maybe that guilt wouldn't have been there. But yeah, I always found going to those schools incredibly hard for many reasons. And I think going to school in general as a kid can be tough for everyone, right? I just found it, a challenge every single day. Just like, I don't fit in here, I don't belong here, I don't deserve this, and these people are like aliens to me. You know?
So you were aware, I guess, in the back of your mind that you'd come from the favelas in where your birth country, and that made you instantly, when you were at school, then feel like you didn't belong.
Yeah, immediately. And I also felt I'm extremely emotional person, whether that be like up and down, anger, love, any kind of feelings. And the boys I was around, just for whatever reason, maybe the background they come from, even though everyone goes through their own stuff, were not like that. So I remember being at school at like 7 and like arguing with the teacher and like shouting, but not aggressively, just about how I felt about whatever it was then, and then started bursting into tears. And it was like everyone was like shocked and just couldn't believe it. And I was kind of shocked that no one else felt that way about whatever I felt. Like, I'm kind of still the same in that regard, but I just felt like my feelings were so extreme. And like, I always reference this. I remember having this like deep self-hatred, and like, I was an only child. I forgot to say that I was the only one who was adopted. So I'm in this big house, and it's my mum and dad, and my dad, they're an older generation. So my dad would go to work at 7, come back at 7, and after school, I'm there upstairs in my big room. And I would be like pulling, the carpet, I'd be on my knees pulling the carpet up, screaming. And like, to pull a carpet up takes a lot of strength. And it's not like I was a very strong kid.
Yeah.
It was like the anger and the pain. And I've always tried to, work on finding out where that pain came from. And obviously we'll get into stuff, but I think it stems a lot from feeling like an alien in the community and the environment I was placed in. Which, having said that, I also want to say that it's incredibly privileged, right? So I don't want anyone to like confuse or get me like twisted on that. Like, I'm incredibly lucky and blessed.
Financially privileged.
Yeah, but also like there was good people around.
Yeah.
It was more, I wasn't capable, mature enough. My character wasn't strong enough to have dealt with it and been like, well, I'm adopted, what a blessing. I'm going to use it to like better my life. I was the opposite. I was like, this is the reason I'm unhappy, plus what we're going to get into. And the self-implosion was crazy,
It's an incredible story, mate, from a few angles, and that being one was the upbringing, the private school, upper class private school.
Yeah,
would it be right to say?
Class, yeah.
And then the way that obviously what was going on inside you manifested in terms of turning to gangs.
Yeah, so I was at school, I think I knew that I was gay when I was 7, 8, which is really young. And as in, I knew that I wanted to be, I fancied the boys, not all of them, but some of them, which was strange in itself. And I wanted to be around girls and talk to girls. I had zero interest in being friends with the boys.
Yeah.
At like 8. So, and then I'm 35, so I grew up like, you know, pop music things, and like we'd have like cable and MTV, and I'd want to dance to like Britney and Atomic Kitten, and I'd want to like look at the boys from Blue, and then my mates, it just was the complete, do you know what I mean? It wasn't even like, so I found that like just mind blowing in my head, because now I'm like, okay, I know I've got another family. This is as a kid, you think this. I know I've got another family floating around. Like that. This is how I look because of these people, my DNA. I know I'm feeling hard. Like I feel everything hard. And I also know that I'm also feeling physically and like inside feelings wise different to everyone around me. So I'm already like, fuck, like I'm like braced in my life, like for everything. I'm like, shit, how can I?
It's that feeling of not belonging again, mate, isn't it? To go from not belonging in your environment to then not belonging in your skin.
Yeah, so what I did, I became like the biggest attention seeker of all time. I spoke to someone about this recently. Like I knew who I was, and I didn't want anyone to ever know that. So I would do absolutely everything to put the attention on me in a false way. Rather than hide, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna say I was angry, and like we all get angry. I would just be like, I'm gonna take that anger and then hit someone at like 9, 10, 11 early. One, because it's private school, no one really does that, so I'll stick out. And people would just be, and then like people would be more scared of me, and I'll be in a box of like, he's the lunatic tough guy. Especially in a private school environment, that's rare. You know, if I was adopted into like a different environment, then that happens more. So I wouldn't have been anything unique. Do you know what I mean? And I probably would have got hit back and knocked out, and maybe things would have taken a different course. But that didn't happen to me. I was looked at as like the only like nutter, which is not a good thing to be looked at as. And also, it wasn't cool. Like all the boys, like Will Castle, we talked about your guest, like he was a year older or 2 years older. It wasn't like I was going through school and everyone was like, oh, he's really cool. They're like, who is this absolute idiot?
Really?
Like, we're all privileged. Everyone's like top, whatever in their field, and you've got like 10-year-olds that like mastered the violin doing it in assembly, and I'm like sitting at the back of assembly, like blazing like Dr. Dre and like kicking someone's chair and saying that I'll see you outside, and everyone's like, who is this dickhead?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, and I knew that, and I'm like dying inside, being like, I just want to be like, not hey guys or whatever, like, but like whatever I felt. And when you're dealing with your identity, whatever your sexuality, doesn't matter, especially when you're younger, you kind of don't know who you are. Some people don't know who they are now. You know, you're working, you're finding yourself every day. So some days I wanted to like walk into school and like be more flamboyant, because that's a part of me. It doesn't mean that everyone who's gay or queer is like that at all, but that's how I felt I wanted to be sometimes. And as soon as I felt that feeling, I just do the complete opposite. Like I walk different. I changed my tone of voice lower, because I thought, I've got to sound like like geezer or like whatever. I just did everything. I would pre-plan how I was going to dress, talk, walk, and
so I'm trying to process everything you're saying while you're saying it, and I've studied psychology, so I find it fascinating. I don't mean that in like a disrespectful way, but it's so sad, overwhelmingly sad that you would have to
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people in life go through life without having to give it that level of attention. You just are, you just be. But to look back and think that you had to pre-plan every step of how you were going to present yourself because you were trying to present the opposite of who you were.
It's interesting you said that, because before I came out as gay and I was just being a dickhead, 6 years ago, I went to a mate's flat and there was a few other people there. They knew me. And one of the guys there, he was a bit tipsy, so you're normally more honest when you're tipsy, came up to me in the kitchen. He's like, he just put his arm like on the counter, like a nice boy. He was like, Jacob, it must be fucking exhausting. And I was just like, what do you mean? He's just like this. And it was like his way. He wasn't being a prick about it. But it's his way of just being like, fuck, mate, like this bollocks, you know, like it's like maybe they could clearly see it's not me because it wasn't. But like, as you said, having to pre-plan and like just a normal get together, a few people like having a small drink or whatever, it would in 2 minutes, I'm telling you about I've done this or this or that or fucking that.
Let's pause there a moment to say a massive thank you to this week's sponsors, Monarch. Now, Monarch have just released a huge comprehensive range of filling knives and scrapers that you can find at all of their usual stockists and also online at www.monarchpainting.co.uk, where you can find all the information on how and where to get your hands on these. There really is a scraper or blade for absolutely every occasion in the decorating industry. Now, again, I just wanted to say thank you to Monarch for once again supporting the Talking Tradesman podcast and helping me spread mental health awareness through the trades and beyond. Let's get back to the episode.
I'm nothing like that. So that cringes me out, but I'm not actively going like, okay, all the things you hate, be it. So that's when you said like pre-planning. Like I would do, I'm 15 years old and nicked like 100 quid from my dad's drawer in my bedroom and went to Camden Town and got guilty tattooed on my belly.
At 15?
At 15. So when I'm still at the private school and stuff, I'm getting mixed up in things. But so when I take my top off, people are like, oh, he must be a dangerous guy because he's got that on. What's he guilty of? Do you know what I mean?
Mate, yeah.
And I hated that. I cried every day. I cried every day of my life until 18 months ago because every minute is me just doing, like the tattoos, I've got 2 that I like. If I could click my fingers, they'd all go. You know, like everything was not what I wanted, but what I felt I had to. And no one made me necessarily feel like that. When my mum and dad weren't like, we hate gay people or my friends. My friends, look, to this day, everyone, like, we joke and laugh about it. And I said to everyone when I came out, like, if you don't joke with me, because men inherently, 90% of our communication take the piss out of each other, right? The closer you are, the more you take the mick. And my circle of like, that's it, just banter. There's no like emotional really talks.
Yeah.
So I was like, after this, I was like, if you lot now don't do that and pretend like it's never happened, then that would upset me more. And then having said that, I get like, not abuse, but like banter on it every single day, which I like and it makes me feel comfortable. But yeah, like when I was growing up, it was anything negative. Like you miss a shot, oh, that's gay. Do you know what I mean? And like the hip hop that I did like some tunes, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here being like, I didn't like every single thing I did. I didn't like. Like I loved like some certain tunes back in the day, but half of them, to this day, I remember this DMX song when he's like, if you're the F word, the gay slur.
You can swear, mate.
Okay, so in the DMX, no, because in the DMX song, he's like, I don't like faggots, I don't like this, I don't like Eminem, every other word is like fuck homos, and all my mates like, yeah, fuck homos, like and I'm just like, yeah. So I'm like, shit, I gotta show these people, because if they even see a glimpse of how I really am and how I sit and how I talk, and they'll know. Even if number one, no one gives a fuck, right? What you are and who you like, right? And I think people really have lose sight of that. That's saying no one cares. Doesn't mean people don't care about you. Everyone's got their own shit, and most of your friends, they just want to, okay, are you alive? Are you healthy? Are you happy? Yeah, cool, crack on. I was like, felt like I'm on microscope and whatever. And I think being an only child, being adopted, there's a big, there was a lot of pressure on me, especially like I'm in this privileged community. Like from my parents, there was a lot of pressure, like academically, and you know, none of it's excuses for anything we're going to get into. It's just I can only say how I felt, and 100% I dealt with it. No one's probably dealt with it worse being adopted into, but I just felt like, yeah, like
It sounds, mate, that you were drowning under the expectations of your position,
yeah, of course.
as well as battling all the identity crisis that you
Yeah,
were
it's all
having in terms
identity.
of
It's all and insecurities and
so going from private school to getting caught up in gangs.
Yeah.
Because obviously the gangs weren't in the private
No,
school.
of course not.
How did that come about?
so we would have like our high street 2 minutes. So at lunch, you could walk out and go to the high street and come back and get like to a Tesco or whatever. There was always like a group of boys hanging around there, and I just saw them. Was like, all right, I'm gonna be with you lot. Give me a week, and I'm in my like uniform, and they're there with like hoodies and all that, and then just I think because I had such self-hatred, I wanted to die, so I can't lose in that situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I would just approach them and be like, "I got like not like hi guys, you're right. Can I be your mate?" But like, "Yes, bro, what's going on?" Right? And they'd be like, "What? Who are you?" And I'd be like, "Who are you?" Bang! I get hit in the face, go down, get up, hit me again, go and then won't walk back into school, blood pouring from my face and my white shirt. So just drenched in blood, and then teachers are, what's going on? And then yeah, I went the next day. Same thing happened. Then I literally went the next day, and they're like, "Oh, come with us if you're not going to go away. Like, we'll give you some weed to sell at school."
So you approached a group of lads that were local to your
Yeah.
area, but obviously a very different background.
Yeah.
You got beat up consecutive
Yeah,
days
yeah, yeah.
trying to just break into their circle.
And it excited me, and I felt like, okay, this is the start of the mission to hide who I am, because I felt if I ever got exposed for who I am or what I feel or whatever, that would be worse than anything. And not only that, the whole point of this is to be completely honest, because I can't expect it's not about me, it's about me as a vessel to try and help people, right? So you can't expect to help or reach out to people, especially this day and age where everything, attention spans, and people got a lot going on. It's not easy unless you're honest. So the truth of it is, it wasn't just me trying to hide it because other people wouldn't like it. I hated it about myself.
Self-loathing.
I hated the fact that not only did I know I was gay, but I knew I was more effeminate. And I knew that, you know, if I could click my fingers, and now I've accepted who I am and I'm trying to love myself. It's a daily process, as you know. But, you know, for 20 years, if I wanted to click my fingers, I would have been a girl, right? I just found that easier, and that's just how I viewed myself, really. So I just did the opposite. So wanting to be a part of these boys I didn't want to be a part of them. I just was willing to do anything to distance myself, one, from the being seen as who I am. And I thought it maybe pushed me to actually change. Do you get it? So it's like I want to change who I was. Like, if I'm around these boys, maybe I won't be gay. Maybe I won't be the type of gay person I am, which is, as I said, more feminine. And I knew, for instance, like physically, now we're moving to 13, 14, I would want to be the girl or the receiving part of that thing, that whatever that is, when with two people together. And I felt deep shame in that. I thought that was even more shameful. And as I said, I can't speak for anyone else, right? I can only speak and be honest about how I felt.
Massive fucking credit for you doing that, mate, honestly.
In how I felt, because I don't want, you know, any queer people or whoever to see this and be like, well, there's nothing wrong with that. There isn't. And I'm not proud of my sexuality, because it's just how I feel, right? I don't think it's like a badge of honor.
You shouldn't have to be, mate. It should you as you.
It's you as you, right? But at the same time, I would hate it to be the case where people are like, oh, so you went on to do all this stuff because you were ashamed of, like, that's not a shameful thing. No, it's not. but I felt that. I hated myself. It wasn't just about being the effeminate one and wanting to be the, wanting to the guy, whatever. It's a combination of everything and just me feeling like 0 or -0 and thinking, all right, I can maybe change myself and fuck who I hurt, really. Like, I did care, but I didn't care enough to stop myself. And that's like, I live with that every day, the guilt of, using my pain and putting it on others. Because a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people suffer and they don't manage to hurt people.
In the background, mate, I mean, your adoptive parents, when you're coming home from school beat up, like, I mean, what were you saying to them? Or how were they reacting? Or did anyone pick up on the internal battles you were having?
It's interesting, you say that, because only in the last year people have ever asked me that question. And I find that weird. Like, if I'm at a private school, or any school, but especially a private school, like, it just doesn't happen. And there's a kid who's like 14, 15, and he's like trying to fight the teachers. He's like hitting people in classes. I'm going into other classes and like throwing chairs, and it's so abnormal. No one really ever was like, what's going on? Something going on at home? Not that
Nobody ever asked you that.
What's really going on? My dad is an amazing human being. Was born in the 40s. Okay, so it's not in him. He can't do it, right? He did everything else he could do, couldn't do that. My mum, because I was so explosive, she had to play the villain and just basically like, well, if I want to go out Saturday night, I'm going out, and my dad's like, no, you're not. I was like, what are you going to do about it? Like, I would, to such an extent, I was such a prick that I would try and be how I was inside with him, because I was on a mission. The self-hate was driving me. I've got to hide who I am to such an extent. I need to get out there so I can misbehave and hurt people and commit crimes and whatever, all this ridiculous plan that I had. And he can't get in the way of that. So fuck him as well, which is obviously my relationship with him is incredible now. And there's years and years and years of rebuilding and repairing those bridges that I burnt with him. But that's the reality of it. So no one was asking questions from that side. It was like a firefighting mission with them and all my friends. No one said a word in terms of like what's going on. I was like a whirlwind at that point, like from young. So it was kind of like, whoa, so no one really asked me that. And I still find that, I get why, but maybe 5 people in my life have asked me that question. Did no one ask what's going on? And you're one of them. So I find that.
Yeah, I mean, mate, I've got a helicopter view, haven't I?
Yeah.
And obviously with the amount of conversations that I've had, it would be like, if I were looking, I think if I were to be around that circumstance, looking down and in, my first thought would be like, what's going on at home?
Yeah.
Like, this is a manifestation behaviour of something.
Yeah, and I do think a lot of people thought that. Like, I don't think anyone... I think if you spend 5 minutes with me, even back then, like actually talking to me, I'm not that guy. I'm not. Like, I've met a lot of people done in my life that are that guy. Doesn't mean they don't have complexities and like layers to them. Everyone does. But there's some people that like a fight. They don't mind it. Like, they're kind of built for it. They're tough in terms of there's many different ways to be tough. And I'm really tough in like resilience wise and keep picking myself up when I've fucked shit up. And I think I'm tough in terms of like putting my hand up and saying that I was in gangs and I was quite well known in certain areas of like what in that years past, and I'm putting my hand up and I'm actually nothing like that. Like I'm not because I'm gay, I'm not like that, but one, I am gay, and I want to have a boyfriend and want to get married, but also I'm just genuinely not a tough guy. Like, every time I had a fight, I was scared.
Do you know what though, Jacob? It's your story is so powerful because of that, because there is a huge issue in the UK with knife crime and gangs, and there's going to be a lot of people in a similar position that are swept up into that life that don't want to be there. You've got your own reasons for why you were and why you didn't want to be there and what you were hiding, but I think your story, because it is so extreme, obviously we'll get to how extreme it got, that's where the power is. Because if somebody that's been through what you went through, those levels can turn around and say that the real cause was this. Because like you just said, there are people out there that are about that life. That is, they do genuinely enjoy it, whatever the psychological complexities that generate those kind of people. But there's not many.
Not many.
There's not. If you had a gang of 20 people, there's probably only 2 that enjoy doing what they're doing.
That's why, and what you said is spot on. That's the whole point of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it's not easy for me. Like, I hid, as we discussed, like everything for my whole life. So, you know, doing these podcasts and speaking is like exactly what you just said. 90% of these kids aren't like that. Maybe higher percentages aren't like that. So what's the reason? Like, if you're stabbing someone, do you know how much pain you're in? You can't just hurt someone if you're all right, you know? And in life, unfortunately, most people, there's times when you're not all right. But if there's no one there to say, mate, bro, what's wrong? Well, like, mate, you know you're not that guy. And they're like, yeah, I am. But hold on, let me define what that guy means. That guy isn't on a pedestal that guy means, I'm basically saying to you, mate, you're not a prick. That's a good thing. Just start redefining what everyone wants to be about that life. What life? Dying, going to prison and hurting people. But no one ever talks like that. Everyone doesn't want to be a dickhead. Well, I'm the biggest dickhead in the world. There's going to be people watching this that I grew up with in the gangway, as when we get into all that I was in prison with, and when I did robberies and all sorts of shit with, worse. They will look at this 100% because of where they are in their lives and be like, what a dickhead. Fucking hell, he's gay. Jesus. Look at this. Boys, look at this. Like, when he was going around saying he was a bad man and acts like a bad man, look at him. He's a little dickhead. He's a little fanny. Yeah, I am. 100% I am. And that's where the power comes from, I think. There's going to be like 40 people that, 40% or 50%, maybe 90% that will be like, nah, I don't want to listen to that. Or, as I said, he's a dickhead. But you know what? The few that will be like, you know what? I kind of, nothing to do with their sexuality, but I actually want to do this in my life, but I'm on this path. And just maybe seeing someone be like, fuck, like, I'm going to be like today and always made a promise to myself. I'm going to be honest, brutally honest, like scarringly embarrassing honest about everything, whether it makes me cry, whether it makes me laugh, because that's who I am. And I spent 20 plus years in the depths of like extreme personal hell that I also inflicted onto other people along the way. So I'm never fucking doing that again. Like,
you know what though, Jacob? Like, I think the people that would react negatively to you telling your story are probably people that find that they're not comfortable under the light being shone, under you lifting the lid and saying, actually, that life ain't fun. It's not good.
But no, yeah.
And the thing is, I often talk when it comes to like mental health about toolboxes and having the tools to cope with certain things. A lot of people in those environments have just never been given the tools, but there are some people, you look, I mean, I don't want to glorify it by saying this, but you look at, say, like high-level drug dealing operations, mate, those people would be incredible business people.
Incredible.
Like problem solving, all this kind of stuff. Yes, they're doing shit on the wrong side of the law, but if they were shown a different path, but often they're just never shown the path. You know, so there are some incredibly talented people caught up on the wrong side of the tracks.
And you know what, as well, that the period we're kind of scatter, you know, about everything, which is great because it's just natural, right?
Yeah,
instead of like a list, like a shopping list of my life, right? So skipping about, as you said, when I was in prison, became very close with a group of guys. Really were in that life. Some of them still in that life. Some of them completely changed their lives. One of them's a pastor now. One of them's a huge property developer. One of them's still doing what they were doing. Everyone has their path. But when I told them I was gay 18 months ago, which was fucking scary, by the way, because at a point in time, I represented them as like, I'm supposed to be one of the tough guys of this group. So then kind of saying, you know what, I'm not, and 2, I'm gay, and then in that lifestyle, it's like, I think it's grassing and being gay, like the 2, like, unacceptable, no, in that crime lifestyle. And when I told them, we talked before off camera before, that I thought I would probably get killed, right? But I owed it to them because they're actually my brothers to be honest about who I am.
That's such a powerful statement.
And guess what? The people I thought would kill me, they turned around and they were like, mate, we always knew you weren't that guy. I was like, but they were like, but we love you because you've got a good heart and you're loyal. Like all the mad shit you did, we never once thought you were fucking like a tough guy because we come from that. We know who's that. But you were still doing all that stuff that the tough guys did, and you saved our lives, and you stood next to us in serious situations for years, which I did. They said we knew it was out of love, and you loved us like that. You love our daughters, you love our sons, and I was always there. And they're like, so you know what? And this is exactly what all of them said, to different extents. They're like, don't like turn up at a dress to my house, like, and like don't necessarily flaunt that in my face. And whether that's right or wrong, that's what they said. I can only tell you the truth. But they're like, mate, fucking be happy and be yourself. That's it. And that was incredibly liberating for me. A few down the line, like when people say be yourself and then you are yourself, you see the reaction, right? Like actually maybe don't be yourself. So a lot of my friendships have organically distanced, and that was always going to happen, right? As like an openly queer guy who wants to like go to maybe like, I don't know, Britney disco on Friday, my mate X, Y, and Z, they're not coming with me, right? That's just what reality. And me posting like stuff, not as I say on Instagram, as you see, I don't post like overtly sexual things at all. I'm not actually like, that's not my personality. But like, if I'll post like awareness about people coming out, which I will do for the rest of my life because that's part of my mission, to hopefully inspire people and like get the message out there of being yourself. When these guys have seen it, some of them are messaging me like, "But why are you being weird about it though?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" They're like, "Yeah, you're gay, but like, why'd you have to like be weird about it?" I'm like, okay. Let's backtrack. I'm like, how okay are you with all this? And then they're like, you know what? Like maybe I need to breathe. I'm like, fine. Like, I still find that a privilege that we were close enough to. There's a dialogue there, and I'll get so.
Yeah, mate, it's the statement. I mean, kind of moved past it quite quickly, but for you to say that you thought
100%, I thought they were
yeah,
me.
exactly, and I don't want to butcher your own words, but for you to think that, to come out to people that you called your brothers, your friends, that were in that gang life, that
But that's my fault because I missold myself.
oh, of course,
Yeah.
but for you, the angle I'm coming at it from, Jacob, is you.
Yeah.
So for you to hold that inside yourself and feel that the people that you loved and respected would kill you for your sexuality, again, mate, I mean, I just find that so incredibly sad that you had to sit with that.
Well, I wanted to kill myself every day for my whole life. The only reason I didn't, because I'm not, don't know if strong enough is the right word. Maybe you're strong to not do it. Maybe there's strength in, I don't, you know, but I didn't want to be here anyway. So, you know, it hurts. It did hurt my heart to think that they're actually going to kill me. But then it's an amazing thing on the flip side how their reaction is the most beautiful thing ever. I've got, I'll never play them because they're very personal, and the people wouldn't want me to play them, and I never would do that. But I've got voice notes. I played back to myself once a week from like people that you can put next to anyone and be like, whatever the version of alpha male is, if that exists, I would say, okay, that's him, and sent me a voice note that makes me cry. Just like, bro, life is short. If you've got people around you that make you happy, if you want to find a boyfriend or a husband that makes you happy, then fucking be happy. Like, they're not over the moon about it. Like, I've got one of my closest mates, I phoned him and I was like, I've got something to tell you. Would anything change for you? He's like, nah, bro, tell me anything, bro. I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, he was driving, yeah. And he's like, just please don't tell me you're gay and everything's good. I was like, what if I am? He was driving, and then his reaction was, fuck. You just heard him, like, fuck, and then you heard like swerving and like beeping, so he like nearly crashed his car. He's like, fuck it, I'll phone you back. And this is like, I'm godfather to his daughter, and I put the phone down, and I just sat there like that crying, like, I've lost him. You know, I care deeply about these people. And he phoned me back. He's like, "Ah, man, like, you're my brother. I'm just gonna have to deal with it, aren't I?" I was like, "Ah," and he's like, "Fuck it, I'll call you next week, but I love you." You know, so that's amazing. That's amazing. And to be honest, I've been surrounded my whole life with amazing people. Really, like I've always given my heart to people or to anything I do, to the detriment of myself a lot of the time. But what you do get back from that is you do build connections with people. You know, like there's a lot of people that are not rooting for me. I think from the past, maybe that's my own paranoia and guilt of stuff I've done. But there are a lot of people that are rooting for me because I know if you spent time with me, you know, like I'm a big softie and I do anything for anyone, like anything, like to help you and your family. I can meet you for one day and be like, I'm there. So people always look. One of my girl mates said to me the other day, people we've been looking for a way out for you to explain that long patch of darkness. So we've got it, and we're happy and like going.
Do you know what, Jacob? Like, there's a lot going through my head as you're talking, and you're talking about your friend circle. I've spoken to you prior to you coming in today. I spoke to you a bit pre-record. I think I'm quite a good judge of character, mate, and you seem like a good person.
Yeah.
So for you to have respect and love for these people, I can imagine that regardless of the lifestyle they're caught up in, because life is a series of decisions, I would imagine that underneath it all, they're good people also.
Yeah, they are.
Which just shows that life sometimes is about your environment.
Yeah.
You know, when you're given certain opportunities or not given certain opportunities. And I've led my life, mate, and there's been a series of decisions where if I'd have turned left instead of right, my life would be very, very different. So, yeah, it's just an observation.
Do you feel that, like where you are now, obviously we said we talked before a bit, but like no one's in a perfectly happy place or 100% successful, and even if they are, you could always strive, or maybe some people aren't happy, but like the growth and the progress you've made, like we were talking about anxiety, right? So you said the decisions you've made got you to this place, but do you still feel you suffer, like in your quiet moments? Do you still feel in pain or to some extent about things that have happened, or just in you?
Yeah, definitely. And
how do you get through it? Like, obviously we're sitting here, so we're alive, and we're just one step forward.
I think, mate, life, particularly around mental health, I know I talk a lot about mental health, but to me, mental health is everything, because mental health is your thought process, it's your brain, and your thoughts are your reality. You know, so if I truly believe that wall was blue, then that's my reality. Therefore, it is what you think is what you become. And I think life, mate, I don't know where. I think it's just a series of overcoming challenges. So you overcome one, you're faced with another. Me personally, the way that I said this to you again pre-record, my life I almost felt was easier when I was switched off to emotion, when I was cold.
In what sense? What was easier? You just autopilot through it? Just being one of the lads?
Just not having to deal with it, or refusing to deal with it, in some extents was easier. So,
but did you turn off, or did you, like, I put it on other people, which is a huge, you know, but not, what's the word, burden or source of guilt, as it should be for me. But did you like take it out with drugs or alcohol, or like women or cars, or like whatever, or gambling or fighting, or did you kind of internalize it and just crack on, like head down, and just, I've got to be the strong, silent male type?
Primarily that.
Yeah.
A bit in behaviour. I was a lot more aggressive. There was fighting. There was certain life choices, mate. I mean, I'll give you one. Listeners of the podcast know this anyway, but I worked as a bailiff for 4 years.
Okay.
Don't hate me, Jacob, right? But for me, part of that, because I was court certificated, so the stuff we were doing, it wasn't like debt collection, like mobile phones. It was quite serious stuff.
Okay.
But I put myself, for 4 years, I put myself in some very dangerous situations without batting an eyelid, you know. So
why though?
Self-harm.
Okay, so yeah, so I said the same thing. So the tattoos when I was a kid was a form of self-harm. I got stabbed really badly on 2 occasions when I was younger. Easily could have avoided it, especially when in those situations people would approach me like standard shit, like what are you looking at, all that rubbish. Now bear in mind I probably got like Britney on one earphone and I'm like thinking about some guy I fancy. It's not me to even be like say anything. So imagine I've been like, what do you mean what am I looking at? That's all fake. That's not me at all. So that's self-harm because I know what they're going to do. I'm not stupid. I'm an outsider. I was the outsider in my room looking at everything thinking, how can I, I used to watch Goodfellas and gangster films and hip-hop videos thinking I can take a bit of him because he's like looks physically weak, but he uses weapons and he's a lunatic and he's angry. I'm angry. So maybe I can use that and I can talk like that. And then who wears like, because no one dresses like Italian gangsters in North London in the 2000-ish when I was growing up. So Dizzy Rascal videos and Tinchy Strider videos. I remember, as I said, be completely honest.
You built a character.
Listen to this. I was at school and I went on Google, typed in like rude boy. Yeah. First picture that came up was just a group of boys, geezers, boys. So I think I printed it off. I'm not sure if I had it was, the Nokias, the first ones you could take a photo. Took a photo of that group of boys from Google, took it into school and was like, I was on the night out with these boys, they're my boys. And then one of the older boys was like, what? That's Tinchy Strider, the rapper. You don't fucking know him, but I didn't know that. So everyone's laughed at me and like, mate. But that's when I was a kid. So one, that shows like the level of bollocks that I was with, that I was like trying to like construct a life to hide who I was, as I always say, because I was first of all, from me, hated who I was and wanted everyone else to not know that. But then I used that embarrassment to be like, they'll never fucking laugh at me again. And also, how am I going to get over something that's so obviously no way out, lies and cringe? How am I going to overcome that? I'm going to have to come in here and like hit someone with a cricket bat in their head, because that's the only way they'll shut up. Like they'll laugh over there at home, but they'll never laugh again. Because I can't look weak, because being weak is being gay. That's what I felt. It's all tied in, right?
Yeah, it's so complex, isn't it?
Yeah, and then
I mean, going back then. So we got to the point where you've met these lads, you've took some beatings, you've gone back and been accepted.
Yeah, so I quickly found out that like in my head, like these are the boys I've got to be around, but they're just kids as well. They're 2 years older than me. They're at school.
Were they caught up in gangs?
They were, but just because you're caught up in gangs doesn't mean you're. I'm watching from a private school boy. I'm watching movies, thinking this is what it's going to be like, and then I'm out with these boys, and everyone's a human being. Everyone's got. They're like 16. I was like 14. They were good boys. They've got different things going. Just because they're selling a bit of weed at school. But I'm like, we're going to get into guns, we're going to get into this and that. I overtook them in like 2-3 weeks, and they were like scared of like my people were scared. Like, you'd find it amazing in terms of ridiculous, amazing, not good, amazing. People for years were absolutely petrified of me, but they all knew what that I'm not like that. They weren't scared of me physically. I was just, you could see I was so insecure and so scared of everything, but I would have done anything, and I did. Like, so, we would, and it's not glorification of it at all. It's there was guns involved, and like I was taking guns into school at 15, and
you were taking guns into the private
school, yeah, to kind of show off and be like, I'm doing stuff for them, like, and I'd be like, I'm working for them, I'm selling guns. No, I wasn't. I was just like, has any one of you got one? They're like, we can get one. I was like, well, can you lend it to me? I've got to go do something. All nonsense, just so I could have it and hold it and show people, and I kind of build this. It's like a checklist of like, have a gun, carry a knife, stab someone.
Yeah.
And also, I didn't have until later, I didn't have the repercussions of this behavior that these boys did. Had a nice life to go home to. I had the comfort and the security of two parents at home. These boys, I was going to see them, and then it grew and grew with more boys in that area, and then
Were you taking the guns home? Like,
yeah, but all sorts. We were using them and just drugs and everything. It was very quick. But my point is like it's easier to be reckless and be dangerous when you've got a blanket of financial security around you, and you've got two parents at home, and you've got a big house, and it's easier to go out and hit someone and come home to like a meal and like a nice bed and stuff. You know, so most of these kids, especially in this life now, and always on the roads or whatever they're doing in crime, they're only in crime to better their life.
yeah.
Most of these boys, bar a few, are involved in illegal stuff so they can have a better life for their family, for their kids.
Oh, mate, they don't see any other way,
Right,
do they?
exactly.
Mate, I grew up, like, when I was a kid, went to school on the council estate, all that kind of thing. And when you're looking around, a nice car drives by, oh, that's a drug dealer.
Yeah, how would you have thought of me then? If we came across our paths when we were kids, and I'm at the top road at the private school, and my dad's got the Porsche, and we've got a 3-story house, and you've seen what you've seen in your home and the struggles financially and just the struggles socially when you have less, and you've got this drive in you, right, which you clearly do for what you're doing, and you've got this hunger inside you, and then you've got this kid who's got everything. Maybe you don't know I've been adopted, whatever, or what I'm hiding, but everyone's got their own shit. Well, how would you feel if you saw me playing like super gangster and thing? You would have been like, who is this? I assume you'd be like, who is this fucking prick? No, but
one or two ways, mate. I think
especially at that age.
Yeah. One, you'd have thought that, or two, I'd have thought maybe this kid is genuinely tapped.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's what everyone said. That's what every single person said, and I guess in some ways, I feel I'm incredibly lucky that I didn't kill someone, or I didn't end up in prison for the rest of my life as someone that's not tough 1% in that way, or about that life, or anything like that.
I mean, you also said, I think pre-record, you've been stabbed or slashed 18 times.
Yeah, so those were the two combined in the two incidents when I was younger. So the one
18 times within 2 incidents.
Yeah. So one was my face here, my eyebrow, I can't hear, and my stomach and my head and all that. But I deserved it. Just an idiot. Just like I was, and also I thought it would be really cool. Like, how embarrassing is that? I was like, oh, if I get these scars, then it'll make me look tougher.
So what age were you when you first got stabbed?
16, just before I was 15.
And in that incident, you were stabbed multiple times?
Yeah, so 9 times.
Fucking hell.
And as soon as I knew, so I remember collapsing. It was like, I don't know if you've just been on the news because a kid sadly got killed there, Primrose Hill. It was at the bottom of that in North London, and I got stabbed by a group of kids my age, where everyone was kids then. And I just remember, as soon as I knew when I was in the ambulance I was going to be okay, I was delighted.
That you'd been stabbed?
Delighted. Like, one idiot. Like, oh, this is going to make me cool, because I'm the most uncool person in the world, aren't I, in my head. I'm ashamed of everything. This is going to make me really cool. How sad and wrong. This is going to make everyone think I'm super tough because I survived it. And am I going to have some scars? I'm going to look like a proper bad boy. So everything was leading up to...
In that circumstance, when that happened, was that something that was set up? Was that like a random thing that
No,
you
it was
kicked
me. I had a lot of girlfriends when I was younger. Again, pre-planned, predetermined in my head, like trying to... trying to show that I'm not what I am, as I'm going to probably say so many times over this chat. And then that caused me a lot of anger on myself and like frustration. And of course I want to, I'm 35. I've never been in love in my life, because I didn't allow myself that. That hurts me deeply, and that hurt me deeper when I was younger, because I didn't know how to process it.
You got a lot of time ahead of you, mate.
Yeah.
A lot of time ahead of you,
Thank
and
you.
a lot of good that you can do.
Thank you.
It'll come.
But to answer your question, yeah, so that particular night had an argument with a girlfriend, which you all do, but imagine having an argument with a girl that you don't want to be with. No offense to the girl who at that time, but like I just didn't. So I'm fucking furious all the time with everything. I'm furious about having to like play this role, furious about not going out and going on dates with boys or chilling with the girls, and fucking hating myself and like dressing how I used to dress and talking fake and trying to act hard. It was draining as fuck. Just despised every single thing I did, but felt you gotta keep doing it, you gotta keep doing it, you gotta keep doing it. Maybe you won't be gay at the end of it, or maybe you'll get killed and you'll check out of the pain, or fuck it, who knows? Keep going, and just no one can ever know. And yeah, I had an argument with a girl, went for a walk. Like I was very emotional, and I'm very, what's the word? Someone said it to me that other day, very dramatic, right? So like I'd be upset and I'd go for like a walk in the rain. You know, I'm just,
Right, yeah.
I'm just a very dramatic person. So
You've been watching too many love songs on MTV.
yeah. I've always been like that. It's just for better or worse, I guess. I think I've tried to tone it down a little bit now as you grow up. But I went on one of those dramatic walks, statement walks, when no one's watching. You just and a group of kids would just basically like walk through them. When you obviously walk around a group of kids with the hoodies and all that, and I just walk through them like, go on then, and I just turn around and just like a swarm. You don't feel it. I don't know, like.
So as quick as that.
Yeah,
there was
it's my fault. Why would you do? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent.
And you didn't know. Getting stabbed, I don't know, please God, you haven't been stabbed. It feels like you're being punched, just like that, and then like that, and then they all ran off, and then just suddenly it's just like splash of water. It feels like splash of water.
So there were multiple people stabbing.
There's like 8 of them.
And they were all
No, I don't know. I didn't know if every single one of them had, you know.
Yeah.
I try not to think about it, but it was just. And then I felt like a few punches, and I was like, "What?" And then everyone ran off, and I was like, "Yeah, like, just all nonsense." And then splash of water. It feels like splash of water, and then like pulsing, and then I like walked, and then just collapsed.
Fucking hell, mate.
And just a few minutes away from dying, and then
Were they people that you knew?
No, just a group. But I knew what kind of people they were from how they presented themselves.
Okay.
And you don't. You know, if me and you go for a vape or a coffee after or whatever, there's a group of like, whatever, and they're showing you what they want to be, whether they are or not.
There's an energy to it.
Yeah, and they want to project that for whatever their own reasons are. They're going through whatever they're going through, or that's what they are. And me and you just bowl through them, being like, like we expect to get chinned. Like I just think that should maybe be how it is, but that's just always been.
To ask you a question,
that was my fault. It's completely my fault.
Because I know you've said not only have you been stabbed, but you've stabbed people.
Yeah. Were
you stabbed before? Had you stabbed anyone at that point, or was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. These points of this story is like, I think we said off camera, the worst thing, like the worst thing to be is judgmental, but I think human nature, we all are, right? So like I'm not, I make it clear, I've never been, ever, like some of these kids who really grew up in poverty and I've had a horrendously hard life, but in a completely different way, right? And I'm never going to sit here or sit at home or be anywhere and want to chat about the things I did in terms of pride or anything like that, but it's part of the journey, and it's a thing where you can only show the growth and to hopefully show that other people can grow and escape things if you highlight
Jacob,
other things that happen. So
I think to anyone listening, to the audience, and I'll say this, so Jacob said this off camera before we started recording, you're very conscious about not portraying anything that you've done in a glorified way. Yeah. And it's not that, boasting, I did this, I did that.
I'm ashamed of it.
However, I think the reason I think it's important to cover is because of the people it could reach and the people that are caught up in the depths of that level of violence, because sometimes people only resonate with people. It's like,
of course, if
because there'll be people listening going, oh, he's done fuck all, he didn't do shit, and I've done this and I've done that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Look, the first thing I'll say is, from my point of view, I always used weapons, and a lot, because I was shit scared of fighting. And I know that is a fact with a lot of kids and grown men today that are involved in that life. They'll shoot you because they don't want to get knocked out. One, because it's fucking embarrassing to get knocked out if you are actually a tough guy and you're like on the floor like fucked. We all see those videos on Instagram. They come out people getting chinned. No one wants that, right? Especially if you're in that life, like it could be an amazing thing to get knocked out, and it makes you be like, you know what, I'm out. I've been embarrassed to such an extent, now I can live my life. It's a freeing thing, but a lot of people might not see it like that. So I was just like, I'm probably going to lose every fight, because naturally I'm not a fighter. It's not really in me. It's not in me. Like, I'm a gentle person, so I'm trying to be the opposite and portray the opposite and try and build my way up, especially as a private school kid. How am I going to get into this life and actually earn respect and hide? Everything was always coming back to hiding who I am. So I've got to do the most.
You got to be more extreme.
Yeah, so I would go out when I was 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and look to stab someone in some situation. So I'd have a knife on me and like, okay.
What age were you when you first stabbed somebody?
15.
And how did that feel at that point?
It was a personal thing with someone, and they phoned me up, and because they knew me, and they're like, oh, I heard your mum and dad died in a car crash, your birth parents. He's like, you should have been in there with them. Now, someone phoned me and said that now, I'd say, I'm really sorry you feel that way. Like, I hope you deal with whatever's made you feel like you need to phone me and say that. Like, I don't have, and it's not also, I'm not controlling myself. You know, I'm not, it's not in me. It's never been in me. It's never been in me. If someone walked up to me and punched me in the face now, do you know what I do? I phone the police and go to the doctor and go to hospital. This happened. We can maybe get onto that. I just left my house and where I lived because I was being verbally abused, and someone.
Oh no, mate, we rearranged the recording.
I got physically attempted. The guy that was in the building where I lived tried to physically assault me because he saw that I was gay. As in, a few months ago, he saw a guy leaving my flat, and then he called me a faggot and tried to hurt me, and I just ran into my room and cried. Phoned my friends like, "What do I do?" And they're like, "What do you mean? What do you do? You stand up for yourself?" I'm like, "I can't." They're like, "What? Why?" And I was like, "Because it's I don't have it in me, and I'm actually proud of that." So to answer your question, going back is, when you're in that life and you're hurting people like seriously, and you're not that guy, the fear that I had that the people that I've stabbed, they could die. You know, I didn't want to do it. So the person that said that about my birth parents, immediately I was like, "Where are you?" And they're like, they told me where they were. I was like, "I'll see you soon." And got some friends, got in a car and went to look for them, thinking, obviously I'm not going to find them. They didn't give me an address. They said an area. Of course I'm not going to find them. It's like if someone said, come to
the town.
Yeah. Drove around and looked for them. And then on the way home, when we gave up, drove home, and literally the guy's walking in a red Adidas tracksuit down the road with two girls. Obviously left a house party. So I got the car, and that happened. And got back in the car, went home, and then 3 hours later, armed police came, kicked the door in. My dad had a mini stroke, heart attack on the stairs, because they'd never experienced anything to that extent. Guns, where's Jacob? Arrested me and took me in, and then bailed me.
Was that the first time you'd been arrested, or?
No, I'd been arrested for like fights and possession of the firearm, and I got a caution for that.
A caution for possession of a firearm?
I had a really good solicitor, family friend, said he's a lovely Jewish boy, he goes to a good school, he got pressured into it. The police were like, well, who pressured him into it? I was like, I don't know, I'm too scared, I don't know, but yeah. And they're like, okay, it's exceptional, whatever. you know, and that goes to show how lucky I was. A lot of kids from other environments they'd be straight to prison. So I was just cautioned, went back to the school and carried on. And yeah, I got bailed immediately, pending investigation, and then
After the stabbing?
After the stabbing, because they couldn't prove it, right? The kid had obviously been in hospital and said he's done it, so they came to arrest me and like find out more, and I got bailed. And then 4 months later, I was standing in the hall with my mum talking, about to go somewhere. I remember it vividly, and the letter came through the letterbox and envelope, sorry, and I opened it and it said no NFA, no further action. Because in that time, the boy, his parents had taken him to America to go to like a behavior school, because he was obviously a bit of a dickhead as well, like I was when we were younger. So they got him away. So they just dropped the charges, right? So that was that incident. And yeah, it was just constant.
Because again, mate, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but if that was the first time that had happened. And then you got away with it seemingly scot-free. Did that then incentivize you to think, I can do this?
Of course, yeah, of course. And then I'm in my community, like, as I said, Jacob Butchoff, like, lunatic, but brackets, idiot, prick, feel sorry for him, what a loser, close brackets. And I know all that. I don't care, as long as it doesn't say gay or queen or faggot in the brackets, like how I felt people would say it about me, then that's what I would take that instead of that. And how sad is that? Because I'm all those things that I just said that I didn't want to be in the brackets, and I'm the happiest I've ever been. Right? How sad is that? And also, to be, honest about everything, is like I was balancing like the girls I was with, I wanted to be their best friend. And now they're expecting me to sleep with them and be their boyfriend. And that made me feel intense shame, right? So
I mean, listen, mate, not to go into detail, but were you going through all those steps? Were you sleeping with girls to maintain your image?
But it was hard. Like, it wasn't sustainable. I was with loads of girls, slept with loads of girls, but not either well or how they would. I don't know. Like, I wasn't attracted to them. So I would try and do freakier things with them to think maybe that will work. So sometimes, imagine it doesn't when you're a kid and you're trying to, should we do this? Do we do that? And they're like, what? So they're fucking like, Jacob's a fucking freak, right? And I like know this is all gonna happen. So that's killing me inside. I'm literally gonna make myself look like the biggest idiot with these girls when I don't even want to be with these girls. So like, I'm going home crying, smashing up my room, like, fuck. Why can't you just be? I'd be saying to myself, why can't you just be strong? Like, I have my cousin's gay, openly gay. My best family friend, who I'm really close with now, is gay. They either were out or like everyone kind of knew. No, there was no one had a problem with it, and I'm like destroying my life and like in like long-term relationships with these girls, putting them through a lot because I'm going through all this trauma and all the stuff we talked about, the fights, the emotions, the self-hate, the self-loathing, and these like 16, 15-year-old girls are going through that alongside me that love me or whatever they felt, and that's not fair on them and their families and all that. So like I'm on a date with a girl and I'm like, wish, someone else could be here. And then I feel horrible for feeling that. And then and also wanting to like express myself however I want to, whether that be with like, I always wanted to dance and take ballet. I've never said that publicly. Like, a few of my friends know. And I would like say it to myself, want to do it, and then talk back to myself like, you fucking idiot. Why would you want to do that? Stop being like that in myself. Right? And then like that would make me cry, and I'd want to like wear high heels and know how that feels at a young age, because you're learning yourself, right? You're learning. And I would just instantly be like, why would you want to do that, you fucking idiot? Like, come on, like, and it would just destroy me from like the inside out. So I remember like wanting to dress up feminine and like crying in my bedroom like, you're such a freak, you're such a dickhead, and then going and getting this tattooed on me to like cover it so it says respect. It's like, what's the most obvious, hard, whatever I thought, because I'm not like that, I'm not from that world, so I'm trying to like manufacture what I think people are like.
So you're building up this whole persona, which in essence sounds like it was actually more extreme than the people that were in and about that.
Yeah, and I was really, as I said, with the dancing, I wanted to do like, I wanted to go to mum like, can you do my makeup and all those things, and it doesn't mean whether I do or I don't now. It's up to me to share whether I, just like anyone else in their lives, it's private or not private what they do. However, and actually I don't do that now, to the majority. But the point is, especially when you're younger, being a queer person. There's one of my friends said to me, most gay men, and he's a gay man, when they initially come out as gay, because they've been holding it back for years, that they over project how they, because you're trying to work out how you are. Suddenly you're free, so do you like get your nose pierced? Do you wear like pink? Do you wear like and he was saying it, and I was just interested to hear from him. He's like, do you get really, because like I know I'm camp, but am I camp? Am I really camp? Or I don't. And he said every gay guy goes for it, and then you find your level. But and it was nice to hear it from him, who's always been gay, came out at a very young age, and he was like, and you monitor. I grew up with a friend who went to another school close to ours, and he runs like a podcast, and he's an openly gay guy, and he does amazing things like in gay media, to like reflecting on his childhood and trying to help people through that. And he does like video blogs and stuff, and he had another boy that I grew up with on his podcast, and who's gay, and he was saying, you monitor everything you say, you monitor your tone of voice, you monitor how you sit. Like, I always used to sit like that because I didn't want to just so tell, like, even if I'm interested, I naturally do that. So tell, because I'm gay, I think, or he'll think that's too much, or I still fight with it now, and that's okay, because look, as long as you're fighting with yourself, with your authentic self, that's fine, right? It's just, if you're trying to fight to be something else, one, your life's short, and there's amazing things in it, but as I think you said before, it's constant shit that comes. It's good, and then there's always challenges for all of us, whether it's our health or work or shit as small as like parking tickets. Like there's just something good will happen, something bad. We're having an amazing chat. I love Arsenal. I'm a huge Arsenal fan. I could walk out of this, turn my phone off, and I could be like, what an amazing thing with Russ, turn my phone on, Arsenal bottled the league, lost 4-0. I'd be like, fuck. Why couldn't they? Do you know what I mean? It's been 20 years we haven't won the league. Why can't those? Do you know what I mean? So my point is like, maybe that's a bad example, but something's always coming good, and something's always coming that's bad. But as long as you as Russ and me as Jacob and whoever watches and listens are just people, as long as you know who you are, and you can try and be as proud of yourself as possible, then that makes you a better human being to those around you. It means you can inspire and uplift people to be better, and that struggle's worth it, and it means something. But when you're fighting life, trying to be something you're not, you can't reach people like that. And life's about people. It's not about money. It's not about looks. It's not about whatever success is. The success is, who have you helped? That's how I look at it at the end. I'm like, who have you helped? Not what have you got, not all of that.
It's a funny thing, mate. Again, I mentioned this earlier, that the value of trauma, which sounds like a counterproductive statement to make, but we'll get on to the work that you're doing now, like helping young people, people that were caught up in the stuff that you were caught up in. You would not be in a position to do that if you hadn't have been through all the shit that you've been through.
Yeah.
So it gives purpose to all of that trauma that you experienced, which is the the flip side. And
Yeah.
I've spoken to a few incredible guests that have been on journeys, not the same as yours, but a similar context or tone. And it's always that. It's a case of going through that, realizing, hitting your turning point, and then using that pain to bring purpose.
I think also, if you don't mind, I wouldn't like touch on adoption, just because there's a lot of adopted kids out there, and I haven't heard that many things of people talking about adoption. I've been like around some people that have been adopted, right, and it doesn't faze them at all. Like, this is my mum and dad. Like, I'm cracking on. I'm blessed. I'm happy. I found it really, really difficult. Also, mixed in with my sexuality, I felt I've got so many questions and why am I like how I am? So I kind of, it all goes back to identity and mental health, right? If I find, they said, I was told that they'd passed away, right? As we said, but I can find maybe a brother or a grandma or a sister, right? But it's in Paraguay. So I had this like goal. When I'm 18, I'm going to go back to South America. I'm going to go there on my own and like a movie. I'm going to get off the plane. I'm going to take a few £100 and going to find my family. So I've gone through what we've been through about the incidents, was the stabbing and getting kicked out of school for fighting, all the way up to like 18. I'm 18 years old, and in that summer, I said to my mum and dad, like, I'd like to go. I want to go. So I'd saved money up myself from like bits and bobs and stuff, and they were amazing. They were like, okay, we'll sort it out for you. We'll pay for you. And I was like, they were like, we've always thought you probably asked to go back. They're like, you've got to do it for you. Like, we support you. So I flew to Paraguay, and, as like a kid called Jacob in this amazing life, and I know there's this unknown place that I come from. This is going to be it. This is going to square the circle. This is going to complete whatever, and I'm going to be complete. And my goal was like, I'm going to find my birth family. I'm going to find brothers and sisters. I'm going to find my essence and my culture, because clearly I don't fit in here. And I'm going to come back. I'm going to come out as gay. I'm going to own it, right? And I went there, obviously immature and stupid, of like having these grand visions of how it was going to be. And my parents reached out to the embassy and connected me with like a lawyer there who picked me up from the airport and like had connections in these areas where I was born, because like really underprivileged. You can't just like walk in as a tourist there because it's unsafe. And they took me to the little town where I was born, and I was walking about with him, and he was asking like Carlos, Barrios, like Olga was the name of my mother, like, does anyone know where any relatives of them are? And I met my grandma, because it's a very small village, right? Most people from their side of privilege, they don't move out. That's just where they are. And I met my grandma, and she said, yeah, you don't have any brothers, you don't have any sisters, like everyone's gone. And yeah, your parents, because I always thought maybe my mum and dad said they died to protect me, maybe for some reason. And she was like, yeah, your mum and dad died in a car crash. And yeah, she said, with the translator, there's no reason for you to come here. So I felt that was like the nail in the coffin for me. It's like my whole life just waiting. I'm going to find someone. And I just felt like I didn't belong there. I'm told I didn't belong there from my grandma. I don't belong here. I don't belong anywhere. Like, I'm not a tough guy trying to be a tough guy. I'm not a good guy, because a good guys wouldn't be this weak and cowardly to like being such a prick. I've tried to go and maybe find like the source of everything and like rebuild, because I was only 18. Like, you can still rebuild from there, right? You can rebuild luckily from any stage if you want to enough. And I came back and I was fucked me really badly. Like, I was just walking the streets of like Paraguay, just finished, like crying, And that wasn't one of my emotional, dramatic, walks. That was like, what's the point? There's no point in being here. Why am I here? Why was I adopted into goodness when I'm not strong enough to accept the goodness and the privilege? I'm not capable. I'm not man enough. I'm not strong of character enough to take the privilege that's been given to me and the blessing. So I'm a prick there. I'm trying to hide what I am. So I'm a prick for being so weak in that sense. I'm a prick because I'm not good at hiding it. And then I've come here and I'm not accepted there. She's basically told me like, yeah, don't come here. Like, it's done. No one's here for you. And I came back and I was on like a warpath of self-destruction. Ended up with the incident that led to me doing 6 years in prison, just to fast forward to link to the adoption thing, and did those 6 years in prison and get out, get addicted to cocaine because I knew I can't ever go back to prison. I somehow I got through that because, again, I had the anger and the self-hate, so it's easier to project that onto other people. So I got through that fine. Obviously, it was incredibly heartbreaking for my family. It's a lot of wasted time, right? And I have millions of regrets, but then I get out and my social circle at the time, were all doing cocaine. I'd never seen cocaine or touched it in my life because before I went to prison, if you did drugs, it was like, you're a crackhead. But now suddenly I've got out of prison from 19 to 25. I've got out of prison and all the girls, all my mates, all the cool ones, everyone's doing lines. Everyone's sniffing lines off tables. I'm like, what? So to me, it's like having a packet of crisps. It must be because these guys who are like successful or like great guys and great girls, everyone's doing cocaine. So it can't be nothing, right? So I've done that, but then I'm dealing with, as a person that's dealing with everything that we spoke about, then I'm just doing cocaine every day, thinking it's fun, it's fun. But we know, everyone knows it's not. So that's fucked me up massively. And I ended up just like losing a lot of, because I didn't know how to process my feelings at that time. Imagine being with someone who's just done 6 years in prison, who's gone through everything that we've talked about, as messed up and confused as I was, or not confused actually, I wasn't confused, I knew exactly who I was, just couldn't own it. So angry as I was, still pretending to be the tough guy or whatever, and then being filled with cocaine. Imagine having a night out with me. I was unbearable. Unbearable because everything I was holding in, so I was just talking shit.
Where were you getting the money to do the cocaine?
Asking my mates. But like, I didn't have a high tolerance. I only needed like a £50 bag at the time. So like, people loved me enough. Maybe they didn't because they gave it to me, right? Now you look at it like that, even saying it. But I have a lot of friends and I wasn't doing it. I would, so it would be like Monday, I'd be like, mate, can you send me £50? I've just come out of prison. Like, come on, bruv. Like, you weren't there for me in jail. You didn't send me money when I was in prison. You didn't visit me. I wasn't like bullying anyone, but I was like guilt trip manipulating them. Yeah. They'd be like, okay, this is the last time. And then next time, I'd just rotate asking people scummy behavior, fishing for like fivers. I'd be like, mate, I've just come out of jail thing. Send me £10 so I get some food, bruv. I lost my thing. I was going to a job interview. I dropped this. I just can't. Send me 20, 10. Sunday I got 50 quid. Get the packet, cigarettes and a few drinks. That was the thing. And as I said, linking it to my adoption, I ended up ruining nearly every relationship I had. The drugs did worse for my relationships with people than the violence did. Ever. Way more. Because you have to tolerate someone when you're doing drugs or they're on drugs. You've got to sit through it. Most people, after sitting through like 5 hours of my pain and my just ridiculousness, just times 1,000 on coke, which is mixed in with just like delirious nonsense and like truths and unnecessary truths. And you know how everyone is on cocaine. But if you add all that into it, it's different hearing. If you're my mate and you've heard, Jacob stabbed someone, you're like, well, I love him, I don't want to think about it, I'll give him a second chance, you're not there. But you're spending the night with me, being full on, like to such an embarrassing extent, that relationships just dropped like that.
Let me pause there a moment to address all of the painters and decorators in the room. Have you heard about the UK's first independent painting and decorating awards, the Golden Finish Awards? If not, go and check them out. This is your opportunity to be recognised for your skill. The first UK independent painting and decorating awards, not associated to a brand, purely associated to your skills. We're looking to recognise the exceptional skills shown in the painting and decorating industry. Jobs of all sizes and skill sets are there to be recognised. Check out the categories we've got on offer. There are 25 different categories within painting and decorating that you can get involved in. Check out the website at www.gfawards.co.uk and you'll see all of the categories that you can enter. And get ready for what is going to be the painting and decorating industry's event of the year for 2026. Now let's get back to the episode.
Anyway, I ended up on my own, just in my little flat, on universal credit, not working, having come out of prison and lost all my friends, having the shame of everything, still not coming out as gay, in my flat doing cocaine every day, just an absolute mess, just suicidal as fuck, being an embarrassment. I remember, what did I try and do my whole life? Not be an embarrassment. Now I'm the biggest embarrassment there is because of my conduct. Like, people are like, okay, he'll come out of prison, like, he'll fly, like, he'll do you know what I mean? And it was the opposite. I'm just asking people for money here and there, and I'm not like going like, can you help me, give me like $5,000 loan, or like, I put it into business. It's like, Russ, can you send me 20 quid please, I'll get back to you. Imagine that twice a week. You're gonna lose respect for someone, really, if you see they're not trying to, and they're just doing drugs. And then that was like five years of that, just crying, wanting to kill myself, binge eating, doing cocaine, not eating, binge eating, 5s, 10s, £20. That was the extent of my life. Then my dad, my adopted dad, phones me and he's like, Jacob, can I come round? And never said that. Like, not in terms of he was negligent. He was just, I was, you know, I'm a grown up, living my life, and he's not that type of person. I say he's quite close. I thought he's going to tell me he's ill, he's got cancer, or mum, someone's died, or, you know. And he comes around and he's like, can you sit down? And I was like, all right. I sat down and he's like, I've got a letter for you from your mum.
The mum that was dead?
Yeah. So I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, your mum, she's alive, and she reached out to me, because the name, obviously she has my mum and dad's name, first and second name, when they adopted me. And she is the translator, and I read the email, and it said, when I went to Paraguay when I was 18 to find family, and my grandma said that no one was there for me and to don't come back, she was protecting my mum and dad from like the heartache of their child coming back. She made that decision off her own back. You get me? And on her deathbed, she had said to my mum, I have to tell you something. Carlos came back to find you, right? So, you know, to like, it's just one thing after the other. And as I said, like, I'm in my room, like, just in a room for 5 years, just like hiding myself, like morbidly obese, doing cocaine all the time, which sounds weird. Like, how can you be obese when you're doing cocaine? But I didn't have the money to do cocaine all the time. So I'd get on it, stay up all night, drinking, like listen to music, or like just in self-loathing on my own, then fall asleep, and then you wake up and then you're fucking starving. So I didn't have money, couldn't go to the gym and eat well, so I'm just like buying loaves of bread and butter and stuffing my face. So I'm bloating and then I'm repeat, and then this comes along, and I got suddenly a mum and dad looking for me, and then she basically, my dad said, like, here's the information, like, we're here if you need us, like, go and explore whatever you want to do. So I processed all that information, and then she left her number, and I took a few days and like composed myself, and then like video called my mum, and then she just suddenly just comes up on your phone, like, my mum is there, or my birth mum, because my mum here is my mum, right? And she just starts crying, and she's like, Carlos, in Spanish, right? Mi niño, mi amor, like, my love, my baby. And it's it's it wasn't sad. It didn't. You have like an image of or a dream of what you think something's going to be, and then it's just a woman saying my son, my baby, because you haven't
You don't know that person.
you haven't been. I don't know you. Like I don't know you, but I was like, you know what? Like I've wanted to reconnect, and I want to find the pieces of whatever this is, and that's what I wanted to. I felt it's important to talk for, like, not talk for, but like as an adopted person. You know, people, that everyone's got their journey, and this is mine, and maybe some people relate to bits of it, right? That could help them. So I was like, you know what? This doesn't feel. I don't feel anything. That's just a woman, but I want to explore where it goes, and then I'd be like, I was literally like, I'm going to make these people proud, though. Like, I'm going to make her proud. And then I message her, and she goes, "Do you want to speak to your sister?" What? She's like, "Yeah, you've got an older sister. You've got 3 brothers.
An older sister.
You've got an older sister." So I'm trying to like use Google Translate to be like, well, I thought, like, hold on, like, so you're not dead. You had her, kept her, got rid of me, and then she's messaged me saying, yeah, your dad then got turned into alcohol, beat me, and didn't want you. So by the way, he still doesn't want to see you. He's been notified. Yeah, he doesn't want to see you. And that's why we gave you away. But then has other sons. So you've got brothers in Argentina. So imagine you're taking, I've got brothers in Argentina. I've got a sister in Argentina. I've got my mum. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try, and this is a blessing, right? So I want to reconnect with these people. This is really amazing. This is a gift from God. It's fucking overwhelming, right? But I'm going to go down this path and see what's going on with this. Like, it's a really special thing. And then I got up, went to the gym, wanted to make them proud, wanted to make my brothers proud, and I would get in contact with them using Google Translate, and then got a job and stuff, just warehouse packing, just so I can at least send them money. This is in my head, like, I want to send them money and try and make them proud of me, and I'll build myself up. And then I'd be getting messages and phone calls from my mum when I'm at work or in the car or whatever, just being like, I miss you, my son, like. And that's like really, what's the right word for that? One, I didn't feel that if you felt that way, why did it take you 35 years? No, not that. So I'm 31 then. Why did it take you 31 years to? I don't believe that. It just didn't ring true to me. And don't get me wrong, I wanted it to, but I know it's bullshit. I just know. Like, suddenly it's my son every day and crying and phoning me, oh my God, my son. But you knew my mum and dad's name. You just got to Google Butchoff and my dad when he had his business. It would have been on Google, and there's an office number, which he did to find me. Obviously, I get it that she was like notified that I came to see her, so maybe that was like, okay. But that was whatever. Whenever she got told, I don't know the exact times, but if you want to find your son, you find him. But anyway, she did. And then I was speaking to my sister on Google Translate again. She was like, you just got to be careful about mum. Like, wouldn't maybe suggest you talk to her that much. And got my own mum and dad and stuff. So I was like, okay, don't really know what that means.
This is your older sister
in Argentina.
telling you this.
Yeah. Then a few weeks later, my mum from Paraguay phones me and she asks me, like, can you send us money? Can you send me money? And in that moment, I got it. Like, I knew what it was. Like, she was just she'd seen Butchoff, the name, my dad, he had an estate agent, he was successful. You only had to go on the website, whatever, especially from her environment where she grew up, and see, like, he's in London, money, etc., which is all true. We were. And then she was like, yeah, can you send me money? And I just was like, let me phone you back, I'll speak to you. And I just hung up the phone and didn't, just sat there and just was like, it's a very empty feeling again. And then again, I felt, oh, I'm a prick, aren't I? Because I'm not worthy, am I? I'm not lovable. Like, this woman went all the way to find me after all these years, and she just wanted some cash. You know, that hurts. But then my brother messaged me from Paraguay like 2 days after, and he was like, "Oh, can you please message mum back?" And I messaged him back saying, you're my brother, right? But I'm not calling her mum, not in a spiteful way, nothing to do with the money, but my parents that love me and were here and put me through school and fed me every day and looked after me and bailed me out 1,000 times when I was being an idiot, and were there when I was in prison. They visited me every 2 weeks for 6 years. When I was in prison, one of the officers said that they've never seen as much post for a prisoner in 40 years on the job. Like, my mum and dad would send me magazines and letters every single day, like binders, like the officers would carry in. And I just said, look, my mum's here. Like, my mum and dad are here. And then I went to my mum and dad's. I remember through all the shit I've told you, they've had to withstand it, my mum and dad here. Everything we've talked about, they're the ones on the sidelines going through the pain more than me, I sense. Because I think if you love someone, it's harder to witness them, you know, going through stuff than for us to go through it. And we're sitting at the table, and then I just said, "Mum, I want to show you something." And I showed her what I sent him. So I showed her what I sent my brother about my mum's here. And I showed her the phone, and she looked at it, and she just started crying. She was like, "I really needed that today." And, you know, just, I think things like that, it's like the beautiful stuff in life. That even through the trauma and the pain, you learn, if you allow yourself and you stick around and keep fighting, life will show you what matters. And if you embrace what matters, then you're gonna be happy. And not every day you're gonna be happy. So, but you're gonna have a chance at happiness, right? And that's what we all want and love. I just wanted my mum and dad here to be proud of me, and I never gave them a reason to, because I was such a prick. But stuff like that, it kind of brought I've always had a massive heart, but it brought my heart out, and I had the strength in some way to, like, at least tell this woman who just tried to tap me up for money, hadn't reached out to me in 30 years. No, I didn't tell her to fuck off. I would never do that, but I just made it clear, like, no, my family's here. Like, I still talk to my brother on Instagram, message him, I'm planning to fly out to Argentina to meet them. They're great kids, and that's my family. It's lovely to connect that. But these people here, that's my heart, you know? And, you know, for me to bring up the adoption thing is important, because there's, as I said, you can't be the only one who's...
Man, there's so much to your story, Jacob, and that's the thing. There's so many different demographics of people that will resonate on parts of your story, and the adoption thing, mate. I mean, I wouldn't cast judgment, but it sounds like that must have been horrifically difficult to have gone through everything in terms of thinking there was nobody, finding out there was somebody, and then to go through the almost betrayal, I guess, again, my words, not yours, of finding out that the contact was initiated for financial gain. Not for...
I always say I wish I was stronger, that all these things didn't matter, because a lot of things happen to people, and they can work through it, right? Everything just hit me just wasn't strong enough to...
I don't think there's many people that wouldn't hit, if I'm honest with you. That's a heavy one for anyone, so don't berate yourself for being affected by that, mate, because...
I also feel that my parents deserve so much better we've got an amazing... We'll get onto like this stuff with my dad and mum, but the relationship's incredible now, and that's so important that they're gonna finish. My mum and dad are 78 now, and thank God that the relationship's amazing.
That's what matters.
They're like my best friends. I see them nearly every day, and that's amazing. But there's so much pain for them in between that I just wish. All because, you know, when I came out to my mum, I phoned up all the people that I cared about, like my family, friends, and my friends. I drove to my best mate's office, who's like proper geezer, Spurs fan, and like just like not like maybe I made that face that made him look like he's a horrible person. He's a lovely boy, but he's just like a geezer, and he like isn't open, like minded. And I drove to his office. He's been my best friend since we were 6, and I've been a massive cunt to him the last few years, to the extent that I threatened him a few times. When, as again, imagine threatening someone when you're not actually capable of hurting them, and you're not like that. Pathetic. Such sad. And he like forgave me for that, but just taking my stuff out on him, and then I went and sat in the car and like told him I was gay, and he looked at me, he was like, I know. I'm like, what? He's like, mate, I was at your house with my other mate, and we saw gay porn on the computer when you were 14, you prick. We all know. I was like, what? Started laughing. He's like, yeah. He's just like, but it's not my place to say. I was like, what? What do you mean? It's not, do you know? And that's like funny, but it's also like, men don't talk about anything. So I was like, you're a fucking idiot. And then we just started laughing. He's like, yeah. He's just like, you're an idiot. And he's like, and then he's just like, yeah, but it doesn't excuse you for being angry. You've always been angry. I was like, yes, because of all these things. He's like, nah, I don't agree. I just like, he's like, no, I know that you're gay, but I like, and he's just like, we'll figure it out. But that was just funny and like embarrassing and just weird. And then as my mum was, I kept messaging her like, mum, I need to speak to you, mum, I need to speak to you. And she was just like, because my dad's got dementia the last 2 years. So she was like caring for him, and I was back and forth to the house caring for him, and moved flat so I could like 2-minute drive, like gotta cook for him, wash him, just take care of him 24/7. And yeah, when I eventually told her, she was the last person I told, because she was kept on like pushing me back, because I think she thought it was going to be something bad.
Yeah.
And then she was just like, my mum just goes, what? I love the gays. Like, she's like, 3 of your cousins are gay, you fucking idiot. Is that what it all was? And then she started crying. She was like, thank you for letting me know it wasn't me, because you're my only child we adopted. We thought it was us. Like, we thought you hated us for adopting you. And she was like, I'm at peace now. I could die. I'm at peace. And that was fucking incredible. Then when I told my dad, who's in late stages of dementia, sat there with him, remember 78-year-old like man, like old school, just like just a gentleman man, would not want his son to be gay. Just factually, just wouldn't want it. Wouldn't like outcast me, but just wouldn't want it. Opened up to him, crying. It's not your fault, Dad. I love you. He's like, okay, like fine. Like an hour's chat. I slept there that night to make sure he was all right. Come downstairs in the morning to make him breakfast, and he's there. Obviously, it's a life-changing way my whole life to tell my parents I was gay. And the first thing he says to me, he goes, so when you bring your missus home then? I go, what? And he's like, yeah, the girl you love. I was like, Dad, do you remember anything we talked about last night? And he's like, yeah, the girl. And then I was just like, okay, I get like, he's ill, but I know that he knows. And that's his way of dealing with it. And it made me smile. Like, that sums up life for me. It's perspective, and it's beautiful, and it's brutal. I waited my whole life to tell my father I'm gay. He's not ill enough to remember, but I know he knows. So I know we had that chat, so I can live with that. And I know he knows, because he's my dad. And I knew when I told him, I could see in his eyes, his dementia wasn't at that stage where he didn't know. So it's like, it's beautiful we had the chat. It's brutal that he asked me if I could bring a bird round after all of that. But then it's, what do I do with that? How do I see it? Where am I at in my life? To how do I process that? And I was like, yeah, give me a hug. Like, what do you want for breakfast? We're good. Like, I'm good. I'm fine. And then, yeah, it's just put him in a home recently, and I see him drive there from work every 3 days, more sometimes, and get him his food and stuff.
Dementia's tough, man. My
Really
grandfather,
terrible.
on my dad's side, passed away with dementia, and yeah,
sorry,
it's a no, mate. Listen,
It's watching
it's a very
people
common
you
thing.
love grow old.
It's a rough one.
It's tough, and
At the same time, mate, it's a privilege because not everyone gets to grow old.
yeah, that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, but that disease in particular, mate, is horrible. It really is. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear
Yeah.
that you're going through that now.
Yeah,
Equally, what you just said does sound like it's a beautiful and painful moment.
yeah,
And I think realistically, mate, your parents, obviously I've never met them, they sound like lovely people.
they are.
They took on a child to give them the best life that they could, which says a lot about them.
Amazing.
Anyway. And I would imagine, again, I can't speak for them, but just to see you being you, authentically you and happy is probably all they ever want.
Yeah, that's all they did. That's all they ever did want, and yeah, that's all. I think that's all anyone wants for themselves. Like I always wanted to.
Yeah.
I just thought it was an impossible task. And you know what? I think as I could have a tissue. I think I just got
of course, man. Yeah, I'll get you.
messy from crying.
2 secs. And we're back. Yeah, I mean, to pick it back up, Jacob, I think obviously knowing what you're doing now, I'm sure is something that your parents can take pride in. I want to pull it back to explain what you're doing now, because you're working with youth and in the prison system, aren't you?
Yeah. So I think 4 or 5 years ago.
Can we, before explaining where you are now, because to
yeah.
give context, obviously your adoption story, I didn't want to interrupt, but there was a large part of that where you said that you served 6 years in prison, and earlier on you mentioned that you were given a life sentence. Can we talk about that scenario, that situation, what happened? And
I was 18, just come back from Paraguay when I said that my grandma, I'd found out no one was there, and just came back on a warpath, and the guy that I had told you that I stabbed the first time when he phoned me about my family.
yeah,
I was with in this period of time, he's gone off to America, right, as I said. So out of sight, out of mind, that's life moves on. I'm with this girl now, amazing girl, like one of the best people I've ever met, and so supportive of me, and an amazing family. I'm with her, and then at the time I'm 18, we've gone on a break. We're on a break, right? Then I'm supposed to take her out for dinner one night, and she outside my flat at the time, and she gets in the car, and you know when you know people, especially, maybe not especially, but especially being like a gay guy, I was more in tune with people's emotions and feelings, because I was looking at those things more, because physically wasn't attracted to her, right? So it's more like an emotional thing with me and her. So I knew she'd been with someone else, right? Which shouldn't really, maybe some people will be like, well, that shouldn't bother you. You didn't like her anyway, did you? Right? But when you're around someone, she was like my best mate, and it was more like, I felt like a betrayal. Even though it wasn't. You know, she could do what she wants. We went together, and we're kids. It's nothing. She didn't do anything wrong at all. And I was like, did you do something? And she was just like, no. And I was like, did you do something? She was like, yeah. But it wasn't her fault. There's no wrong in her. We weren't together. She wasn't unfaithful or anything. We're kids. And then I was like, who was it? And I found out who it was, and it was that kid. It's the same kid that phoned me about your parents should have died when I was 15.
yeah,
He's gone to America.
come back.
He's come back. Apparently within 2 days he's done what he's done. So
Did he? I mean, let's get into the twos and fro's of
you
why.
can ask me anything.
But did he actively seek her out, knowing that
Well,
she was your girl,
Yeah,
as
of
it were?
course. Obviously. I think just
So he held on to
chances?
that
What's the chances of someone coming back from America after 3 years and like bumping into the guy that stabbed you's girlfriend?
Yeah.
And sleeping with her? Could happen. I don't know. And he excuse me. So I was just like, yeah. I remember I bought 4 packets of cigarettes. That's 80. Sat in it was a studio when I was 18, studio apartment with like just painted white walls. Again, dramatic. Sat in the corner, smoked 80 cigarettes, just like psychotically angry at him. Like, and also I remember feeling like my lies and my hiding isn't working, because like you talked badly about my family and I attacked you, which is my fault. No one deserves to be hurt. Like, he didn't deserve that when I was younger, and he didn't deserve what I did this time at all. And that's all on me. Like, I take ownership on that. Like, he's probably a good, I don't know if he's a good human being now or whatever, but no one deserves that. But I, at the time, felt like, you don't take me seriously. The one thing I've like ruined my life to pretend I'm this person, and you're like shitting on it. Like, you just, do you know what I mean? Like, how did the one thing I've like lost my education, I've destroyed my family, I've destroyed my future, I've destroyed everything. I'm not happy, never been in love, all this just to hide and to show the world, like, don't fuck with me. Because don't fuck with me means don't come near me. So you know who I am. And you've just done the ultimate fuck with me.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm talking how I thought at that time. So I phoned him, got his number, tried to arrange to meet him like in the park to like discuss it, and said like, he was just like, not like, obviously not going to meet you in the park after what's happened. So I sat there and thought, okay, how am I going to get him? How am I going to get him? This is my thinking then. I thought the only way that I can find this person and hurt them for the second time, bear in mind, is this. So I phoned him and I was like, mate, I want to meet you and I want to apologise to you. And as soon as I said that to him, I could hear on the phone, he was like, yeah? And I was like, yeah, man, like, I'm not, since you've been away, like, I've tried to change my life and I'm not, you know, a violent person, and I don't want you to come back to this country and feel scared that what's going to happen is going to happen again. So I just want to, like, I'm humbling myself so you can record this phone call if you want, like, and show people, like, I'm sorry that you've even thought that would happen. Like, I'm actually scared of you, mate. Like, I'm petrified of you. Like, if anything, I want you to tell me that you're not going to do anything thinking I'm going to do anything. So I was like, just to prove it to you, like, I'll meet you in a restaurant at 9 o'clock, which was like a big restaurant, like where I lived, like well-known, busy, packed. I was like, I'll meet you at 9 o'clock. It's like a Chinese buffet restaurant, and we'll sit there and I just want a confirmation that nothing's going to happen. And for me to confirm that I'm sorry that it came across like I wanted to do anything to you. So I was like, it's a public place. No one would ever do anything there, would they? He's like, yeah, you're right. All right, I'll meet you at 9 o'clock. So that's suicide, right? That's self-harm for me. And I just was like, okay, I'm going to prison forever. And there was never a thought in my mind of ever taking his life or murdering him. But the state of mind I was in and how I felt about myself was like, if it happens, it happens. Which is, looking back on that, which I do a lot, is an absolutely fucking crazy way and horrible way to live, and what he experienced. So I met him. I drove to the restaurant and he was already there, and like, talk about it and just looking at my mindset then is really, really sad for him more than me, because he was on the receiving end of it. Obviously we both paid, and went to the restaurant, sat with him like this, but obviously straight, and said, oh, I'm sorry, and sorry for last time, and I'm not whatever, and I'm fake, which was true, but not in that context of, you know, what I was trying to get out of it. And I'd already had a knife on me, and my plan was to go to the toilet, like basically make him feel comfortable enough. Remember, I'm 18 here, I'm 35 now, so I'm looking back on it thinking, how low were you? Me, I'm talking about that. How sad, how scared, how pathetic were you? You couldn't have just, you know what I think about as I tell you this? I've always been gay. So the fact that a girl I was with, who I wasn't with at the time, was with another guy and did nothing wrong, and I'm such a freak and a loser, and I'm so weak that, like, I'm gay, I shouldn't care. But because I was so everything was about like everyone's got to see me as hard, everyone's got to see me as tough, like I've got to hide everything. This was like the ultimate like thing that was like breaking that for me, which is so sad. So I was just said to him, just tried to make him feel it as big as possible, inflate his ego as much, and make me look as weak and small as possible. It was about an hour of us talking. By then, remember I'd attacked him a few years ago, as we discussed. By the end of like this hour, me talking to him, he's like this on his phone, not looking at me, just chilling. Like that's what I wanted, to make me feel nothing and weak. So he was just like that because I knew he had an ego at the time, which we all do, right? We're kids, and I was like, "Can I go to the toilet? Like, I'll leave my phone on the table, so I'm not going to phone anyone or anything like that. I just need the toilet, and I'll come back." And I was like, "I'll pay for the food." He's just like, "Yeah, do whatever you want." And I went to the toilet, splashed my face. This was like, I think I thought about my mum and dad. I remember that because I can picture myself now splashing my face when my mum and dad came into my head, and I walked straight out of the restaurant. As I walked out the toilet, pulled the knife out, and just as I've gone like that, he's seen and gone, he's got a knife. Then there's 90 people, 100 people in the restaurant. It's Friday or Saturday night, I think it was. I've grabbed him and then just tried to stab him. I've stabbed him through the ear, the back and the neck. Fallen on top of him. And then as I've gone like that, as I'm on top of him, there's chairs flying, waiters are smashing me on the head with chairs trying to save his life, which is incredible. And I can't even feel it. It's kind of like dull pains. And then there's a guy in front of me with a baseball bat just smashing my head there as I'm on top of him. And it's his dad.
His dad?
He brought his dad to protect him, which is heartbreaking. Because as we're talking about trauma, look what my trauma has done to that family.
So we're trying to piece this together, mate. So you've met at the restaurant.
Yeah, his dad was always there.
His dad was.
He was there first. His dad was, but I don't know what his dad looks like.
Right. Yeah.
His dad just could. Do you know? I don't.
And his dad stashed a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Thinking, I guess the dad's thinking,
I've already hurt him before.
Yeah, my son's meeting this guy that's already
you do the same.
him.
You wouldn't let your son go, right? But that's nothing in the negative way about the dad. Like he saved, like he did what he needed to do as a dad, and like I feel like I'm so sorry for putting him through that. Like he thought his son was gonna die.
So you managed to stab him.
Yeah. As I said, as he rocked back on the chair, I've grabbed him and attacked him, stabbed him 3 times in the neck. I said the neck, the back and the ear.
In the neck.
Yeah, and then he's fallen forward. As I said, waiters have like tried to hit me with chairs. I'm not budging, and then I'm getting baseball bat on my head, which could have easily killed me, and we could have both died. And to put his father through that, to thinking his son's, that feeling. I've never described that, felt that, sorry, and I would never want anyone to go through that. Then for the boy who I attacked, how he must have felt, that fear. And then the restaurant's like spilled out, and everyone's like in the street. I've kind of he's just gone limp. I've got off him. I can't remember what I did with the knife, and there's blood everywhere. My head is open, like in multiple places, dripping everywhere. I've walked outside.
So obviously the dad has stopped attacking you.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I remember. So maybe it was, I'm 35 now, I was 18, so I'm terrible at maths. It was a long, but it's something you don't forget anything like that. Just saying exactly what I remember. I remember getting up. I remember my head's fucked. I'm staggered towards the door. People are like pushing me, like screaming. I've walked into the road, and guess what I did? The tickle coming back. I pulled out a cigarette and smoked it, thinking I want to look really cool when they take me away. That's the level. Didn't try to run. I stood there, smoked a cigarette, because I'm thinking blood's coming down me. Remember what I told you when I got stabbed? Oh, how am I going to look? That's how, ruin my life. Please hope he's not dead. But in a selfish way, not like remorseful, empathetic. Like, please hope he's not dead because I don't want to do my life in prison. This is what went through my head. Cigarette, look cool when the police come. Why? Because I want people to hear that he was that guy, whatever that fucking means. God, we know that I wasn't. And that's the extent of the pain that I was willing to put myself, but more importantly, that boy, his family through, to hide what I was. And the police came, handcuffed me, put him in the ambulance. I was in the police car. I said, "Is he going to make it?" And they're like, "Yes, he's going to be all right." But I remember the guy saying, "But you're fucked," the police officer. And I was like, "How long do you think my head's bleeding up there?" And like, "How long do you think I get?" He's like, "Probably 10, 15, mate." He's like, "You're a fucking idiot." And then obviously, I'm trying to talk to him kind of like a mate, trying to be in the cool mode again when I'm pretty bad, injured myself, but just trying to always be fake, me. That's the keep the lie, keep hiding it. That's all that matters. That's how I was. It's all that matters. Doesn't matter that your mum's going to get the phone call tomorrow. Doesn't matter his mum's going to get the phone call tonight or tomorrow. Doesn't matter. It does matter, but this matters more. And what about that girl? What about that amazing girl that was my best mate and my partner? Not just like her and like that, how she would have to deal with that guilt,
the associated guilt
and also that like embarrassment of like he's gone and done that for you. Maybe it's her fault. People would think when it wasn't. And like, what does she have to deal with now? Is she gonna? That's a lot of fucking trauma for like a lot of people. And like putting the cigarette in my mouth and smoking it and being like that is just like making everyone else a part of my like pathetic, like abusive, self-abusive and abusive to others, like my little movie, because I'm in so much pain and I'm ashamed. So yeah, went straight to the hospital, got stapled up, and then was in prison for the next 6 years.
And what did they charge you with?
So it was GBH Section 18, so it's with intent. It was attempted murder, but it got dropped because I didn't say anything. So I didn't say like to my solicitors, look at the CCTV, his dad hit me, any of that. I did it. I was a piece of shit. I put him through that. I put his dad through that. I'm not going to then sit in court and be like, try and worm my way out of it to get less. As you could see from what we talked about, I was in such a low place. I didn't care, like whatever. Obviously, I didn't want to get life, but once he survived, I was like, and also I wanted to look as tough as I possibly could when I got to prison. So I was like, I'll take it on the chin.
Was the whole thing on CCTV, Jacob?
Yeah, of course, it was in a restaurant. So, but there wasn't need for it. I said, I'm guilty.
Yeah.
Then you get less because you go guilty straight away because it saves the courts and money and time.
Yeah.
So yeah, just.
And I know you said you did 6 years. Was the sentence?
I got sentenced to IPP. Do you know what that is?
Is that?
It's indefinite for public protection. It's been abolished now.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's been abolished because it's inhumane.
Isn't that the thing that like Charles Bronson's in?
That's what I got.
Oh shit!
And I deserved it at the time, because one, I had no care for. Most people commit crimes to get away with it. I did it to not get away with it, just to hurt the person in how they saw it, and which was true. I wanted to hurt the person and myself to such an extent I didn't care about getting caught. So that kind of person, they gave me the sentence, which has been abolished now because it was deemed to be inhumane, which basically means they gave me 3.5 year life sentence, which is so weird. So it means you do 3.5 years and then you apply to the government, the Justice Secretary, and ask if you can come out. So some people got IPP 1 year, they're still there 25 years later. I know a few people that are like that. I knew a kid that lit a bin on fire in Liverpool. I was on the wing with him in prison. He got 18 months IPP. That was 12 years ago. I was in prison with him. He's still there. Because if you go into prison, you keep fighting, they just will never let you out. Because every time you're applying, it says on your record, you've done this inside. So they're like, no. So I got 3.5, and you don't get a release date. So that's why it's so inhumane, because if you go to prison, when you're younger, or like all of us, when we watch prison movies, you go in and you're like, okay, if I got 10 years, I went in March the 30th, January 9th, like 1990, I'll be out March the 30th, 2000. And then you work through the days, right? You tick them off, you sleep through whatever you do. I never knew when I was coming home, and I deserved that. Like, I deserved that. So it's not up to the judge and for them to know what I really like, and I'm a really sweet boy, and I had a great upbringing, and I'm actually gay, and I'm adopted, and I went through trauma. Fuck all that. Like, I chose to be, or I didn't choose to be weak, but I was weak, and my decisions, they weren't mistakes. They were decisions that were disgusting decisions that I live with now, and I tried to make better in my way. That that's why I got what I got. That was my sentence, and yeah, went in 2010, and I got out 2016.
How was prison?
Fine.
What category were you put into? Was it
B.
okay?
So I went to Felton Mill. I've been in and out a few times for like 10 weeks here, 8 months here that we didn't talk about. And I can connect with people because I've got a big heart, and especially then I was just willing to do whatever it took to hide, as we said. Repentance, like that common thread through everything. So like, I was fine. Like, I had loads of fights at the beginning. I lost most of them, but I never gave up. And in prison, all that matters is like you fight. You have to fight. Just don't tap out and stand there and like whatever. So I said this to someone, I'm not a physical person, so when I would fight, I'm like in my head I'm like this. But outside, I watch everyone else. I watch my friends when they go to fight, they would pull up their trousers and like their eyes and how they're carrying themselves. So I'm like, okay, God, like, do you know what I mean? I especially in prison, it gets broken up soon. So you just got to kind of hold on until the officers get there. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to hold on. So I do all the mouth, you hit me, I'll go down or not, hit you, happens again, try not to get knocked out, try not to cry, try not to be like, fucking help me. And I did it. And then, yeah, like, did what I needed to do. And, you know, to be honest, my family being there, forget the fighting shit, is I think human beings adapt. So, like, you put into an environment and you adapt to it, like, sink or swim. I think genuinely, I think any human being, like, adapts very, very quickly, and most should be okay. What helped me was the support from my family and my friends. I hope we can touch on that a little bit, like, later or whatever. Just, I'm very fortunate that I've had an incredible support system. There's a few people, like, I don't like saying people's names of certain things because they wouldn't want me to. Like the ex-girlfriend we talked about, that's her privacy, and that's what she deserves, and the victim of the crime as well. But like, I've got some friends, Daniel, my best friend, who I said that I was horrible to for a long time because I was so angry at him, because I was like, it's your fault I can't say I'm gay because you're proper Spurs and geezer and like you're just all that. He wrote to me and visited me with his dad, Paul, on the train, came to see me every 2 weeks. It was like, so you asked me how prison was when you got that, when you got mum and dad coming on Monday, and then you got Dan and Paul coming, and then that helps you a lot. Do you know what I mean? That's the hard thing, is like not like standing up for yourself. It's the loneliness and the guilt of what you've done, what I've done to this boy and like his family, and I fucked my life up and all of that, and like that's fucking hard, and the isolation, and then also having to deal with all these different personalities that are 1,000 times more tougher than I am, and I'm in a prison in Birmingham. I've got some real, whatever the word is, I hate bad boy, whatever the word is for like authentically that, I was with a lot of those boys. So I'm constantly having to like rejuvenate myself because you're behind your door most of the time, and I'm behind my door in prison on my own, like watching Devil Wears Prada on film 4 and being like, I would love to look like that, or he's fucking hot, and like da-da-da. And then like the bell goes like exercise, and then like I walk out like, what's going on, boys, you good? Like, that's for 6 years. Do you know what I mean? That's so draining. Like being the fake is just, it's just, in that environment, the pressure, like my anxiety was crazy. Every day they're going to find out. Every day they're going to find out. Every day they're going to find out. Every day I'm going to tap out, and my weakness is going to come through. And yeah, just on the thing of people being there and helping. That didn't stop when I got out. I have a friend, his name is Kane, the most geezerish person I've ever met, right? Like, as in, doesn't talk about emotional shit, won't do it, probably hates me for bringing him up. His dad, same, more emotional, but also like really tough guy. When I was going through the coke stuff and just fucked and on my ass, they basically came and helped me. They're like, you need to do something with your life because we know that you're special, but you're suffering. So that choose something you want to do, a skill that you will look after you forever. So Kane and his family loaned me money to do HGV driving. And I would like spend 4 hours journey to where it was in the area, do the training. Didn't even have a car. So I'm trying to learn how to do a truck, but he gave me an opportunity. I'm not going to say no. I'd be crazy. So I'm trying to do this HGV thing, this huge lorry, and my instructor said to me, he's like, pull over the truck. And I'm like that, sweating, shitting myself. Plus I'm like a gay man who like wanted to be a ballet dancer in my head, and now I'm like
HGV driver.
trying to be an HGV driver, but I can't say no to my like Uncle Mitchell and Kane, and it's a great opportunity, right? And the instructor was like, who told you that you were ready to drive a truck? And I was like, well, I had a driving test yesterday, and she said I was fine. He goes, well, she needs shooting. So then I've done this fucking course somehow, and I've passed it. And then Mitchell and Kane, they're like, now you've got something minimum. If you're still a cunt and you don't do anything, you've got this to look after yourself. That's also giving you self-belief, because you hadn't driven 5 years, didn't have the money, and I passed that. So I was like, oh, you know what, maybe... Yeah, and then this is now when I've got out of crime and everything. And then they're like, oh, yeah, you know the money that we said you're going to pass back? Don't worry about it. That also, by the way, choose a car. I said, what? Yeah, like choose a car and then pay us back when you can. Still haven't asked me for the money back. Always say, and then recently they were like, you know, it was a gift. Because I've proved, obviously all the stuff I've turned around. So the example of Daniel and Paul and Kane and Mitchell, who I call Uncle Mitchell, who's not actually my uncle, and I've got another friend, Chinny, I'm just starting a business with soon. I'm incredibly fortunate these people like Chinton and his wife Mona have entrusted me with things, and believed in me and picked me up. People have come to me when I'm on my ass, and they've seen something in me that I'm starting to see in myself. And my point of bringing those people up is because, one, it should never be a me thing in life. You don't get anywhere. Like, you've got your circle of whoever you've got. It's like, Meet the Parents. I've seen that with Robert De Niro when he goes to my inner circle, right? You've got to get in the inner circle. So we've all got ours to some extent. And I just think the people you surround yourself with, or the people that believe in you when you don't believe in yourself, they can make all the difference. And for me, they have. For me, they have.
I think it seems to be a recurrent theme, though, mate, that throughout your life, although you don't seem to have had faith in yourself because you were battling all your demons, you have had people around you that have seen the potential and haven't given up on you.
Yeah.
Which, sitting with you now, obviously I didn't know the previous version of you, but it comes across quite quickly that you're a good person. That's the second time that I've mentioned it.
Thanks.
I've said it already, man. It's an incredible story of resilience. I mean, the IPP in prison then, so you were given a 3 year, 3.5 years. So after 3.5 years you could apply.
Yeah, but then you apply, that takes 18 months for them to give you an answer. So I applied and they said no.
Okay. So how does that work then, Jake? Because I don't know, mate.
So you sit in your cell, the day comes up.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, so obviously if you want to get out, you can't be like fucking around in there, because you're not, if you're halfway switched on. So I was like, the plan was just go in there. It's going to be, because you're new, you're going to have to prove yourself and go through that, the violence there. Grit your teeth, get through it. Don't melt. This is how what I said to myself. And then halfway through, do all the jobs, do all the courses, turn it around. So then they can see the change in your behaviour. What the biggest mistake people make going to prison is the keep your head down thing. That doesn't exist. If you go in, say you've robbed 2 banks and shot 20 people and leader of like a huge crime syndicate, and you're known for being this, then you go into prison, you're a chef immediately and a cook and you're a librarian and you're nice and you're respectful to the officers and you never touch anyone and do anything. Then they know you're just bullshit. They know it's complete bullshit. They're not going to let you out. There's no. Have you seen Shawshank Redemption, the film?
Yeah.
Okay, so when he goes, Morgan Freeman goes for his parole. There's does anyone you say? Do you feel like you've changed? Yes, sir. Of course, sir. I've fully rehabilitated, sir. Will never happen again, sir. I feel truly bad. And then it goes stamp denied. When they let him out is when he goes for parole near the end, and he's fucking fed up, and it's been 30 years later. And he tells them basically to go fuck themselves. And he goes, if you want to let me out, let me out. He goes, but I'm 65 years old. At this stage, you've already made your mind up. Go and do whatever the fuck you want to do. Like, I'm tired. I'm old, man. Fed up with telling you I've changed and I haven't. And do you remember what happens? Granted. So you have to show them what you were capable of, because that's why you're there. You're not there because you're a nice guy and you behaved. You were there because you committed X, Y, Z. And then you should naturally grow as a person. And my plan was to do that, but I did that because obviously I'm not like that. So it's easier for me to behave because I never wanted to deep down misbehave. I just felt this is what I had to do.
What do you think of the prison system, Jacob? Like, do you think it actually rehabilitates people?
No. I became a listener in prison, which we work with the Samaritans. And that's when I really was like, okay, I'm going to put into practice now, helping people, right? Because all the people I got close to in prison were talking to the guys, just like I'm talking to you, not about all the stuff, but talking to them and showing my heart and, caring, and being a listener allowed me to go into people's cells when they're suicidal or they've got a problem. But you can't give them advice that's the rule. So they're standing. I had people like every week cutting their wrists in front of me, that I'm going to kill myself, and you can't say don't do it. It's a strange thing. You've got to kind of just watch them, and your presence hopefully is enough to save them. And one of the things that I'll never forget of my life, you asked me about the prison system, is that I had a kid. I wasn't close with him. Like, he was a kid from Coventry. Like, he was had a drug issue, but you could see he had a good heart. And he pressed his bell, and they sent me to go to his door and talk to him. And he had slashed his wrist really, really badly. And I just said to him, because you can't give direct orders. He was like, I wanna live. So I was like, okay, grab your bed sheets, right? Do this, cut them so you can suppress the bleeding as much while I get help. And we saved him. So I was, that's really, I was like, thank God, man. Then I woke up the next morning and my next door neighbour had been killed. He was dead in his cell. Obviously, I can't go through who did it.
I was been killed, not...
Had been murdered. He'd been murdered. You asked me about the prison system?
Yeah.
So he was murdered within the prison system. Not the same kid, but a different one. So that kind of sums up the prison system. There's people actively every day that are trying to kill themselves that are not really being helped at all. Also, if you try and show empathy, I was in a specific role trained by the Samaritans who came into the prison, to help. But like the average prisoner, the whole environment is to like try and be the toughest guy, or be with the cool ones, or be with the tougher ones, so you're not a victim or whatever. So like when someone's like, I want to kill myself, there's no empathy there. And even if there is, no one's showing it. No one's, in general, in the vast majority of cases that I experienced. So yeah, it was a case of no one gave a shit. They used to, when someone used to kill themselves, they used to put a note under your door. So I'd be on the toilet, and a note would come in. It'd be like, please be respectful tonight, everyone. A prisoner has just killed themselves. Please keep the music down. And what do you think everyone did? Turn the music up, kick the doors. The dickhead. Now, how many of those people that kick in those doors and saying, calling this dead kid a dickhead, and like laughing and playing rap music or whatever they're playing, like celebrating this poor person's death. How many of them do you think actually felt like that? Really? One, maybe not even one. I don't think human beings are that depraved.
Just putting the front on again, yeah.
Yeah, but look at everything that I've said that I did, talking about what happened in that restaurant. Look what I was willing to do. And I genuinely know that I'm a really good guy, got a clean heart. Look what I did. Obviously, it was a long, long time ago. And I've worked on myself and just, but look what I was willing to do. So the prison system is, the prison officers are paid nothing. Their main priority is to feel safe themselves. So if they can feel safe bringing drugs in and whatever and getting more money, then they'll do that. Prison officers can also get you killed. Leave your door open if they don't like you, for other people to come in, passing weapons. I met some amazing prison officers, though. Some amazing men and women that were incredible to me. Oh, that's like, I miss my dad. Like, I need a minute. When they're like, Butcher, we need you to the gym now. It's like, I don't want to cry in front of them. They'd be like, all right, mate. 2 minutes, like, you'll be all right. Stuff I remember forever. They were amazing to my mum and dad. When my dad walked in and they said he smelled of weed. He was like at that point a 65-year-old small white gentleman with glasses in like a little suit looking for me, and they've like patted him down and put us behind glass and he's just drove up from London. So imagine how he felt. Like, he was like crying and they were like, we're sorry, it's protocol, but they were there for him and like they were genuinely like lovely. So the prison system doesn't really rehabilitate yourself. There's not enough courses. The courses are good when you're on them, but it can take you 2 years to get on them. There's so many drugs in there. Yeah, you can lose yourself in there and it's fucking horrible. But also, if you fall into temptation, for some people, it's a habit to keep going back. It's not that bad. Everything's perspectives. So you can go in and it can either be the fire inside you to like, I'm never going back there. I want more from my life. Or you just be like, oh, I can keep doing this, like little things here and there. But to answer your question in a long-winded way, sorry, yeah, it's just shit, mate, and it's a waste of life.
Was there a lot of gang stuff going on in the prisons?
Yeah, loads.
How was that for you, I guess, being pulled into that life previously? Was the temptation to get pulled in?
No, it was never, for me, remember, it was never a temptation. It was the last thing I ever fucking want to do in my life. Remember, I want to be, with my girls, desperate housewives, coffees, chat, boyfriend. That's what I wanted when I was younger. But I'm 19, I'm in Birmingham prison, I'm with like gangs, as you said, all of that. So it's not temptation, it's like I've got to
survive.
I'm not going to get bullied. I can't be bullied by them. I mean, I can, easily I could, but I don't. I just, as a human being, you adapt, so I don't want to be, right? So close your eyes, grit your teeth and do what you did before, Jacob. Like, you've got the tattoos. Right, as in most of these boys at 18 aren't covered with like guilty and stuff, and like some of them knew me from before other prisons, like of me like fighting and stuff. So I knew a few, but look, there was a lot that didn't buy it. I just remember, I just will never forget a lot of, look at me like, these lot love you, so you're alright, but I know you're an absolute melt, or whatever the word is. Didn't say it, but I know that because that was the truth, right? So, and also like being able to say that. I don't know how many people, even my friends that, or like people I know that aren't in that life anymore, whatever, still can't say like, I'm not on shit, I'm soft. So, and I think that's a problem as well, because first of all, what's the definition of that? What does soft mean? Like, if you're a father, or you go to work every day, or you're a good person and you bring in money, or you don't bring in money but you help people, isn't that strong?
Man, 1,000,000%.
Right, so just of like, oh, he can't mug me off, or all this kind of stuff, like, I'm for all the years that I didn't do it, and I tried to say the opposite, I put my hand up and say all those things. Like, I'm all those things that everyone in that life, or everyone just in general, like lots of my friends like would find it like embarrassing or weaker or a million things of, I'm the gay one, I'm the one that wants to do the dancing, I'm the one who wants the boyfriend, I'm the one that would be more feminine, I'm the one that would have thought about or has dressed up as in like women's clothes when I was younger. I'm the boy that likes musicals. I fucking watched Notting Hill the other day on my phone, and in my car at break from work, with Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant, and I'm like fucking crying, and like it's all about, oh, it's so sweet. Then I go back into work and do what I do, but I'm all those things that every single person would, not every single person, a lot of people would never go on a podcast like this and say, because men don't say that, or we're put in a box then and there. You can't. I wouldn't go to the pub with him now. I wouldn't go to football with him. I still love Arsenal. I still want to go to the games, and I still would go to the pub and sit with my mates. I also want to go to Soho and be with, the girls and guys and everyone there. And we're all individuals and we all like different things, and that shouldn't like suddenly expel us from being accepted for whatever reason.
1,000,000%, mate. I think, obviously your story, the biggest obstacle was the acceptance with yourself.
Yeah, but that's where it starts for everyone, right?
Oh, absolutely, mate. If you can't accept yourself, nobody else will.
Yeah, and I get, I honestly, I can't believe that I do sometimes. That I get messages from people nearly every day, and I put them up on my stories and stuff. Just obviously I crop out their names because that's not fair on them. It's not, and it's not like, oh look what are people saying. It's more like some of the messages are like, you were the biggest. Like some of the messages start off like, you were the biggest cunt I ever met. So proud of you. Keep going. It's not like, listen to podcasts. It was amazing. Some of them are like,
Listen, mate, the life that you lived, obviously people are going to have versions of you that they met then.
Every single one of these messages ends beautifully. They were like, you're an idiot, but we always knew you were lovely. Jacob, it's so good to finally see you like being the person we knew you were. So none of them have ever been like, you're a prick, end of. Every single one has been like, and then someone sent me a message yesterday being like, went to school with you, was 2 years below you, you probably don't know who I am, but you are inspiring people with like everyone. A lot of people knew how I was, and he said like, by being yourself, that does actually inspire. It can inspire other people who are open for growth to actually be themselves in different capacities. Doesn't
in a million ways. I said to you just before we hit record, mate, you should write a book, and you should. Podcasts are great. Obviously they get the reach that they get, but there are people that don't listen to podcasts, and there are people that don't watch telly or whatever it might be. I believe that your story is so vast. There's definitely enough for a book. There's so many topics to cover, so many people that can benefit, whether it's people that are caught up in gang and knife crime that want to get out, whether it's people that are struggling with their sexuality, whether it's people with the adoption side. Mate, those are three huge subjects on their own. And you've got all three and a unique story. And when you combine the three, it makes it even more unique. And it's weird, mate, because obviously you've caused a lot of pain, you've been through a lot of pain, but it's still, to me, coming to where it comes together, it seems like a beautiful story. Because it feels like now you've found yourself, now you're building your own, who you really are. And, you're 35, mate, you got a lot of time ahead of you now to live the life that you want to live. Go fucking learn ballet. Go do all that shit. Don't laugh, man. You want to do it.
I'm doing it. I'm going to do it.
Do all that stuff that you withheld from yourself, because, like you rightly said at the very beginning of the conversation, 99 times out of 100, people don't give a shit. Like, the best will in the world, as long as you're out there, you're not hurting anyone else. You're just out there being happy.
Fully
Go
agree.
do that. Like, life is so busy and difficult for everyone on their own levels And as you rightly said, 99 times out of 100, nobody cares.
No
in
one
in a
cares.
nice way.
In a nice way, yeah.
It's that, like, you do you, bro. I've got my shit going on.
100%.
And it's so sad that you felt the way that you felt all the way
Yeah.
through, but it's also beautiful to see
Yeah.
the emergence of other realization, that growing into who you are.
Yeah, and there's with the work side of things. Obviously, there's certain things that I can't get into in details just because of like privacy of people. But when I was in prison, I just had this like vision of like the minimum I need to do is go back and help these kids.
This is the beauty of it, mate, and this is
Yeah.
let's shed some light on that, because often with these episodes, this is what happens. We sort of talk through people's stories, journeys, darkness, and then where that's led them, and where you've been led now is quite a beautiful place, because you're now using your experiences to help others. So how did that come about?
So so I got out of all the crime stuff about 6 years ago, when I basically was like, okay, so it's a bit of a long. So I was like, I'm going to start seeing men secretly, but I'm going to start seeing people, and I just need to do that, right? So I can't be caught up in what I'm doing, because I can't be exposed like that. So what happened is, I call it like your soul thaws out. When I was like left that life, when I'm not like that anyway, and now I'm actually seeing men and like getting feelings for people, and like then caring for my father who has dementia, and then working, just a normal guy, being who I am bit by bit by bit. And in that space, I was like, well, what do I want to do? I've been fucking around hiding forever. What do I want to do as a career? And my favorite thing in the world, really, if I could get my fingers in anything, it would be make documentaries or go around the world and take people's stories to help other people, inspire them, like that kind of stuff. So I was like, I don't know if I can do that now, but how can I help people? Can I go back into prisons and help people, like help prisoners? So I reached out and emailed a few companies, and this company called Trailblazers reached out to me and said, like, yeah, we can train you for free, and it's called being a mentor, and you can be trained to be like a mentor. And this was around COVID times, so you couldn't go into the prisons and they couldn't come out to meet these people. So what it is, we basically did everything online, and these prisoners who had 3 months left of their sentence, they'd allocate, after all the training was completed, I was allocated them to like a work caseload, and I'd have like 5 guys who would be coming out in 3 months, and I basically find what do they want to. So imagine that's incredible for me, like, to give back, and it made me feel that I'm really making a difference in some ways. You can't always turn the ship with people. People get there in their own time, but I would help them find employment when they got out, talk to them about why they're in there in the first place, try and give them my experiences like on a brief level, because there's so many parameters you've got to stay inside when you're doing all that stuff, with mentoring. And yeah, it was just like working with prisoners, helping them before they get out, and then when they get out, finding them housing, supporting their family, getting them funding for any like businesses they want to do through the Prince's Trust, all this kind of stuff, like helping them with drug programs if they need it, etc., etc. And yeah, and then I started my little, I wouldn't even call it a business, it's just my little thing that I call it Bad Boys Better Men. So it's basically just me going around. This was before I came out, just asking with the assistance of some of my mates who I was in prison with that have changed their life around, like, can we help the kids in your estate? Can we help the kids that are going through things? Can we help these kids not go down the same track that I went down? So it'd just be, I'd go and see one of these kids, 15, 14, and I was like, what do you like? What do you like to do? Oh, no one's asked me that before. It's like, well, what do you like? They're like, I like football. But I was like, so they're like, but I know I can't be a footballer, so if I want money, I'll just sell drugs for him up on that floor and do that, because I want the BMW. I said, do you realise that just because you like football, you can work in football media? You know, you could be a coach. You know, you could be assistant coach. You know, you could be a masseur. If you're a masseur and do sports science, you could travel the world with the Arsenal team. Did you know you could do 20, 100 different things? You know, you could work on Talk Sport. You know, you could do X, Y, Z. You know, nutrition, all involved in sports. And they're like, fuck, I didn't know. You could do 100 things. Doesn't mean you have to play up front for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the problem with all these boys. And like a lot of things I've seen is like, I've got to be a rapper, I've got to be like a boxer, or like, it's like the media places that on them. So they feel that they've got no roots out. But there's a million roots out, but no one's showing them. I can't speak for everyone because there's great people in every community, on every council estate and every area that are like pointing kids in the right direction, and they're doing amazing things in community. But there's a lot of people that aren't or don't know the roots, and where I do know the roots because I wasn't in that environment. I put myself in that environment because of my pain and my shame and all the stuff we talked about. So I know the opportunities because I had them and I neglected them. So now I can show the other kids those opportunities.
I mean, mate. Your lived experience is so unique.
Because I know respect. I had it all in front of me. All my friends that I see are lawyers, doctors, surgeons, dentists, and headmasters, right? All the opportunities that were given, not that they didn't earn them and that they're not hard workers and great, but like these other kids aren't aware of what you can do with your talent. Everyone's got a gift and everyone's got a talent and everyone's good at something. Some people are just great at chat, but now there's podcasts and you can be a presenter, and like if you make people laugh, you can do this and you can do that. There's a space for everyone now, and that's what I've done. Like just try to speak to these kids and like show them there's a million opportunities and keep pushing them, and also like redefine all this bullshit of like what's tough. Like one of my mates said to me, like Kane, when I came out to him, he goes, the only time I've ever fucking thought you were tough is now.
Yeah.
And no, so you know, I was scared to tell him. I thought he wouldn't be my mate. So, and he's like, the only time I've ever fucking thought you were tough is when you said you were gay, mate. He's like, crack on, speak to you tomorrow. Tag up. I'm like, because that's him. But that meant a lot because you can't help anyone unless you're yourself.
Mate, there's so much truth in that. Like vulnerability, I think particularly as a man, is really difficult. And it is, in many cases, mate, the strongest thing you'll ever do is to be open and vulnerable and allow people to see that. Because we're told to put the walls up, don't, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, like me as a kid, like I played football from the age of 8 till 30, and like, I still remember my dad telling me now, because I used to play centre half, and he was like, I remember my dad saying, if ever you get hurt, you never let them see you're hurt. If ever somebody hurts you playing, you get up. You never go down.
How did that stuck with you all these years? So how did that affect you with other things? Because it carries on, right? It bleeds over.
It does, mate.
It's hard, right?
It's a weird thing, you know, because I do this and I actively encourage people to be vulnerable and talk about their stories and shit like that. I struggle with it, mate.
Yeah.
Like I'm still like, I don't cry. I don't. You know what I mean? I struggle to cry because I was told as a kid. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have cried. Like I've cried at times in my life, but same thing, mate. I was always told. I was brought up in the man up generation. The don't let people see you cry. It's weak.
Yeah,
it's the biggest load of bullshit in the world. But it's hard when you've been raised that way. When your formative years were that. To then, like, I can look at it and I can say it's wrong, but for me to change, I guess my foundations is very difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a great example of do as I say, not as I do. You know what I mean?
You seem to be doing quite well, man.
Bit by bit, mate. Life's a journey. I'm learning. One of the privileged positions of doing a podcast like this and speaking to the incredible people that I do is I learn from everyone, mate. Your story will sit with me, and I will digest it over the next few days, weeks, or however long it will be. And there'll be bits that you'll have said that when I listen back to the episode, I'll sit on things like there'll be something you've said that will strike a chord probably when I listen to it back. It's hard, like, obviously I'm in the moment now, I'm talking to you, but I'm also conscious of the background, the environment and all that. when I put it
right.
when I put it in my headphones and I listen back, there'll be something and it'll be like, and it'll hit, and I'll be like, fuck, and then I'll reflect on that for a while. So I'm still learning, mate. I'm still learning a lot about myself. I'm still growing. The privilege I've got is I've got kids, so I can pass on. Like, my son is so different to me.
In what way?
He's so much more emotionally mature and intelligent. You know, he will talk to me about how he's feeling. I never did, because I never had anyone to talk to. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so he felt that. So,
but I opened
your
that door.
credit that he says that, because you've set the environment that he feels comfortable.
I opened the door, mate. I never had that door open for me. My dad was
same.
very, very, you know, like I said, look, we don't talk about that.
Same.
Get on with it.
My dad's thing was, it's not appropriate. That would be because he was like more proper. So it's like, it's not appropriate. Like, if I slam a door, that's not appropriate. You're crying, or instead of like, why? And that's not criticism. That's just like how everyone's different. How there's no rule book to raise kids, right? But we kind of like, you figure it out on your own. And
it's generational, mate, isn't it? Then you go back further. You know, my granddad was he was like my best mate for many years, and he was the same. You know, if things ever got onto an emotional or deep level, he would just change the subject. He would literally just go, "That's enough of that."
But did you need it?
Need what?
That emotional chat, or doesn't mean emotional as in like crying to someone, just being like, how do you feel? Like I'm very big on like if I saw you, how you're right. Not like there has to be something wrong, but like, how do you feel about things?
See, I never really got asked that, Jacob.
One of my mates is like, I don't have time to feel. I've got to provide. I've got kids. I've got this and that. Yeah. And a lot of people feel like that. I don't know how you feel about that, but I disagree with that, because how you feel fuels, or is like bleeds into like what you're doing. It's not just do.
Both sides of the line, mate. I
don't have kids, sides. So I don't.
I understand both sides of what you've said, and I kind of agree with both as well.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one. I do believe people should talk about their feelings and all that kind of thing, and but I struggle with it still. So I'm a complete contradiction in what I do.
But we're all contradictions, right?
Absolutely. One of the things that I find, so I think for a person, one of the most important things in life they can have is purpose.
100%.
And I think I know my purpose. I've got no qualms. I know what my purpose is: to provide and protect for my family. And that's it. But that's what makes me happy.
What's more purposeful and beautiful than that?
Exactly. So there are times where I will put that above all else, and I'll put that above myself. Yeah. So if I am feeling shit, I will put my purpose above that.
But you've got to be the best version of you to be able to do that, right?
I agree. Yeah.
So if you're suffering and you're like holding on and being silent and just soldiering through, which, you know, most guys do, and I can see from the time we spent together, that's in you, to just like crack on, and like I can see you're strong. But as I said, you've got to, you don't have to, but like the best version of you will only benefit your kids and your wife, right? Like if you're just proper, you know, weighed in with everything, then you can give less of yourself.
I completely agree with you.
And like all I ever wanted and needed, just for my kind of personality and how I was like, pull the chair up. Someone once, Jacob, something you to tell us. Are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. No, sit down. You're not alright because you've just done X, Y, Z. Or we hear you crying, or we heard you smashed up your whole bedroom, or all these million. What's going on? You're not sick, and you're not standing up and walking out of here unless we know what's. You tell us. Tell me, how are you feeling? Those talks can change lives and save lives. Obviously it's on the individual to like not be an absolute prick about it like I was, but some of us don't have the strength or aren't emotionally, you know, mature enough, secure enough to do it.
I'll go back to what I said earlier, mate. I'll see it as a metaphorical toolbox.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, probably till I was 30 if I'm honest, the only tool in my toolbox to deal with emotions was a fucking hammer. That was it. That was all I had. So I dealt with emotions, positive or negative, with
So what would that
aggression.
ever be in terms of?
Aggression. Normally, if I was feeling hurt or sad,
Yeah.
my coping mechanism was aggression. That was it.
Yeah.
I would want to get in a fight, take it out on someone.
What changed?
Probably being a dad, if I'm honest with you, mate. I used to. There's a part of this again, because I wouldn't want to glorify anything, but there's a part of it that's generational as well. Like when I was probably in my early 20s, it was so normal for me and my mates. You go out, you drink, you end the night with a fight. That was normal.
Yeah.
That was like the average Saturday night.
Yeah.
You know, it was borderline sporting.
Yeah.
I grew up playing football. You'd have a fight with somebody on a Saturday night, turn up to play Sunday league football.
Have a fight.
The kid you had a scrap with happens to be on the other team.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd have another fight. Maybe you'd have a laugh about it.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up, people, on many occasions, mate, I saw fights and it wasn't, you'd never put the boot in. The minute somebody hit the deck, that was it. It was done. And a lot of the time, they'd get up, you'd shake hands and have a pint.
Yeah.
It was the old-fashioned straightener. You know
I've
what I
got
mean?
someone I hold dear to my heart. We were on holiday when we were kids at 16, and we had like a straightener. Hated him before he hated me, and then we literally stood there bleeding, like exchanged like 5 blows. I hit him with an ashtray and he didn't move. So immediately I was like, this guy's actually really tough. And then he just, and me, as I'm like clocking, because I'm not tough, so I've just used a weapon immediately because I'm like coward. Hit him with the weapon, he's just not moved. Then he's like banged me, split my eye open. And I'm like, fuck. And then he's looked at me like, well, you took that. And I'm looking like, well, you took that. And then he goes to me, put down the ashtray. I put it down. He goes, do you want to go for a swim? And then we jumped in the pool, him covered in blood. And then like all the friends and all of everyone that was there that was watching it like that, everyone was like jumped in the pool and we all had a great time. And he messaged me on Instagram 3 weeks ago, and he's got kids now and he's successful, married. He goes like, he messaged me like, Jacob, so happy to see you doing well, being yourself. Can't wait to see you soon. Like, busy with work as everyone is, but like really proud of you. You seem really happy, and I've never really seen that in you, so keep going.
That's cool, man.
So yeah, I just, to break down, as you said, to your being a dad changed that in you.
It changed, mate. I had a couple of close calls when I was not long after my son had been born, and it was a couple of alarm bells that were rung, and I thought, that come close to either me not being there or me being in some serious trouble.
Yeah.
And I made a decision to be a dad and put everything else, put him first and put everything else behind. But I think later on, through my own experience and like, you know, my fucking, it sounds cheesy as fuck, but my journey with mental health.
Yeah. Doesn't sound cheesy.
It began, right? It's just that phrase, mate. Everyone talks about their journey. It's like mental health bingo, isn't it? Like we talk about mental health, the word journey always comes up.
It's got to find a new word for it, right?
Yeah, that's it. Travels. But through just growth, mate, personal growth, education was a massive thing for me. My toolbox that used to just have a hammer, now I've got a whole range of tools. Yeah. So I go through, you know, things that would upset me, whatever it might be. I now have a whole range of things to deal with it. Yeah. Like go for a walk, mate. You know what I mean? Like, not maybe a dramatic rainy walk, but it's
but those things can make all the difference.
100%, man. And not to blame anyone, but you know, in my experience, all the men I grew up around,
just crack on.
They didn't have the tools to pass on. They didn't have the education to then go. Yeah, like you said, nobody ever asked me how are you feeling. That was never a thing. It was like.
And that's what I ever wanted to. Even now, like, you know, starting to, please God, set up another business and with work and all these kind of things as an adult, it is a lot to do with like, what are you doing? It's not just how are you feeling. You do have to be proactive, and of course, I get that, and that's important for me to know and to learn. But it's still. You know, I say to people I work with every day, how's your dad? How's your mom? And it's not just throwaway shit. Mm-hmm. How are you feeling? Like, you can't expect people to be at their best or give their all if you don't genuinely care about them, how can you get them to care about what you're doing if they know you don't really care about them, right? And you've got to start, that comes from you, as in you've got to care about yourself. And sometimes when I don't, like, especially being a father, for you, like some of my friends have said to me, there's days where they feel like shit, but their kids are there to like raise them and uplift. Does that make sense? Like, you're never the most important thing in your own life anymore.
Purpose, mate. That was the thing with me. The minute
There's
I had
something
kids,
more important than you now.
the minute I had kids, I had a purpose more important than myself.
Yeah.
And that for me, that was. There's a whole, like I said, throughout my early formulative years, there's a whole series of decisions where I went left and I could have gone right very easily, that would have had a very different outlook and outlay on my life. So, you know, I'm very fortunate probably to be where I am, but at the same time, I've been through a lot of stuff that has also given me that lived experience that, you know, I can connect with people on certain levels because I understand, you know. So I don't regret anything. Unfortunately, I've now got that comparison where I can pass on to my kids. Hopefully, I can make them, not make them because they're their own people, but they'll be a better version. They'll be better than me. Like my son, my daughter, probably they're more emotionally intelligent at their age now. Yeah, mate, they're a million times what I was at their age. I was just, you know, very, very different. So that's a nice thing for me to be able to see.
Yeah, and look, all the stuff you're talking about now, I was like, that's my dream. But like, husband, obviously boyfriend first, husband, kids. Just thinking like, do I want to adopt? Because I know everything we talked about, right? Yeah. So that's like challenging to even like wrap my head around, to think about that, you know.
Think of all the experience and love that you've got that you can pass on now.
Yeah, like all I ever wanted to be is a dad.
And the amount of understanding that you would have to somebody else that was in an adoption position.
Yeah, all I want to do in my life is do this forever. And, you know, I've got, please God, it happens. Going to go back to my school where I was and how much of an idiot I was there, because I've still got some really good relationships with teachers and stuff, and people have been seeing what I've been doing the last few years. And, you know, to go back there and do some talks there, help out there, keep, you know, helping people, no matter what. As long as I'm breathing, I spend the rest of my life traveling the world talking, giving my story, and continue wherever that goes, right, to try and help people. I really want to help, like, kids that, you know, that's sitting there when they're younger, or adults, or guys that are married with kids and they're like suicidal because they're not actually attracted to their wife and they're gay, and like there's never. I came out at 34. That's late, but like I still, you know, me, and like, do I regret coming out late? Yeah, but it is what it is. Like, you've got to move forward with it and make the best of it. And, you know, there's so many people right in the world that are hiding for whatever reason who they are and going through that pain. And like, I know that I can help with that. It's not like maybe, I know I can. Not from an egotistical thing, because fuck me, like I've suffered for so long, but haven't seen that many people ever from go through, you know, what we've discussed, and then say like,
fortunately not, mate. Fortunately, your story is rare, incredibly powerful.
But those are people going through it. They're just not saying it. Do you know what I mean? Maybe not all of it combined.
I think that's
like
the thing, yeah,
the high privilege, the gangs, the prison, the adoption, being gay the whole time and suffering and all these. That's quite a lot. But people going through one or not of those things 100%. You know, how many closeted people are there in the world that are not saying anything?
Think about all them different positions you're in to help all them different people, though, mate. I mean, that's kind of...
So it's my...
purpose.
It's my obligation. It's my purpose. It's my blessing. It's everything that... How can I be at the other side of that now and not spend the rest of my life trying to help other people get out the other side of it? How can I not do that?
I mean, Jacob, to anyone that's listening to this podcast now that might have connected with any one of them, things, or know somebody that might connect with one of them things, are you happy for people to message you?
100%. It's as I said, it's not me. I'm the vessel to help. I don't give a fuck if anything benefits me. I would never want a penny down the line for anything. And also it's not, it's not like I can't wait to talk about me. Fucking nerve-wracking and shit, like saying, like going back from fancying like boys and always being gay and like wanting to dress up and do dancing and like look at the extent that I went for years to cover who I was. So it's not easy. It's fucking petrifying. It's just about helping people. It's just about like I'll kind of be not the only one, but maybe the only one. I don't know, but just I'll say my part of how I felt and how it affected me, and I know there's other people out there that are going through the same. So in terms of what you asked, like I'll shoulder the embarrassment if there is embarrassment. I'm not really embarrassed. Like, I'm kind of, as I said, I don't think it's a badge of honor to be gay. It's just what you are. It's a badge of honor maybe to be a good person, to help people, be proud of that. And like there's, people ask me about like, are you going to gay pride and stuff? And like I went last year, and I think that's incredible for so many people, especially because people, the world can be a horrible place and nasty place, and to be with people the same as you, or like have the same kind of identity as you in certain ways, is a safe space, and it's liberating for a lot of people and amazing. And I loved it. I loved it, but I just think pride should be everything, right? In terms of like, I'm not proud that I go to the gym. I'd be proud if I go to the gym and that enables me to, for instance, be healthy enough to like turn up and help people, or like raise my kids or run with my kids eventually. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like, and maybe a lot of people won't like me for saying that I don't, it's so important that negative or positive or whatever, however people feel about what they've heard, it's just my experiences, and I can't talk for any community of people. I can't talk for all the boys that are on the roads or in crime. I can't, because we're all different, especially me. I'm not like them. And saying I'm not like them, everyone's unique as well, so that's also not fair. So it's like, I just have been through what I've been through and just been completely like open, and I'll take whatever comes with that, because I know what the goal is. The goal isn't likes, clicks, followers. It's waking up and saying, mate, saw your podcast, like that's helped me get through something.
Mate, you're trying to do good.
That's it.
And that is all. I am extremely grateful, mate, that you've shared your story on the platform.
Oh, I'm grateful as well.
It's as powerful as I thought it would be. Really, really respect your time and the fact that you've travelled all the way up to share that, man. And what I'll do for anyone listening on whatever platform you're in now, if you scroll down, I'll attach your socials, mate.
Yeah.
So whichever, Instagram, is that best?
Yeah. Instagram's great.
Scroll down, there'll be a link to Jacob's Instagram below. Wherever you are, go and give him a follow. If you want to drop him a message, please do. And do you know what, mate? On a personal level, we'll stay in touch, and I'll look forward to seeing the progression and all the great things that I'm sure you're going to achieve.
Thanks.
I want to see that you've gone to a dance class. That's the first thing, mate.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I look forward to it, mate. It's when Will first reached out to me.
Yeah.
And said that he'd got somebody that he thought would make a great guest. Incredible story. One of the things he said was he's a great person.
Did he?
So he did. And it was one of those, I connected well with Will, and I always thought, if Will says he's good, he's good. But obviously meeting you myself, man, it's been a very powerful story, as I said, from two fronts. Very sad in one respect, but also beautiful in another, to see the progression of it, mate. So thank you very much for your time, mate.
Thank you,
it's been a real pleasure. To everyone listening, thank you very much for listening. I will catch you soon on the next one.